One.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to tonight's May 18th, 2026 special meeting of the Brighton Town Board. I'm Bill Maley, Brighton Town Supervisor. I am calling this meeting to order. I appreciate all of you coming out on a hot night. If you're able to rise physically, please do. If not, rise in spirit for the pledge. I'll ask Councilmember Werner to lead us. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Chris. As we do at all of our town board meetings, we're pleased to have our ASL interpreters. Our goal is always to communicate as effectively as we can with the community at large. Jennifer Jess and Alyssa Supley tonight. Thank you, both of you. Jennifer, we've been traveling in the same circles a lot lately, and I appreciate the work that you both do. Just before tonight's meeting, I learned that there had been a shooting at the Islamic.
In the first place, what we do know.
I'm sorry. Just before tonight's meeting, I learned that there had been a shooting at the Islamic Center of San Diego. 3 people were murdered by 2 young male suspects who are also dead. Islamophobia is despicable, and in far too many circles, Islamophobia, hate speech of all kinds, has become common practice. And all too often it leads to hate-based attacks like we saw in San Diego today. I stand in mourning with our Muslim neighbors, especially the members of the Islamic Center of Rochester, right here across the street. They are wonderful neighbors, and we mourn with them this evening. Hate has no home in Brighton in any form, and I would ask all of you to join me, please, in a moment of silence to mourn those who were killed in San Diego today. Thank you. Just let me talk about process for a minute. This is a special meeting, and as most of you know, it was called after a lengthy meeting last Wednesday night, and the purpose of the meeting really is to continue to address the award of a bid for the site work at the Brighton Town Hall complex. And because we're focusing just on that one item tonight, rather than having an open forum and then having discussion on a resolution, we're going to include public discussion like we would in the open forum as part of the discussion of that one item on our agenda. We will be running it very similar to the way we conduct our open forum. When we start, when that motion is on the floor, when it's been made and seconded, similar to the way we do our open forum, if you're here in the room and would like to speak, please raise your hand. When I call on you, please come to the podium to speak. I would ask you to give your name and address if you'd like. If you are participating in the meeting remotely and you wish to speak during the open forum, you must first join the meeting on Teams. And if you do that and would like to speak remotely, use the raised hand function and you will be unmuted by the host. As we do in the open forum, please limit your remarks to 3 minutes, and I will give a 30-second warning before your time expires. Once everybody has had a chance to speak once, If someone needs to speak again, they'll be given one more chance to speak for another 3 minutes. As always, please direct your remarks to the town board and not to the room or to other speakers. Please avoid personal attacks and outbursts of any kind, including applause, boos, or interrupting, whether it's other speakers here in the room or people up here. All of those are disruptive to the meeting. Persons who don't follow these rules will be warned. A repeated failure to follow these rules may result in speaking privileges being ended or even being directed to leave, although I don't anticipate we will need to do that. Can I have a motion then to approve the agenda? Chris?
Bill, I move that we approve the agenda.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado?
Aye.
Councilmember Salzman?
Aye.
Councilmember Sanguinetti?
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy?
Aye. We do have 6 items of communication, all of which relate to the old business item. So, Nate, if I could have a motion to receive and file the communications, please.
Bill, I move that we receive and file the communications.
Second.
We have letters from Serge Schwarzman, Cindy Blair, Howie Jacobson, Karen Frutiger, Tom Castelline, and Karen Berger, all relating to the site plan work on the town hall project. And those are, again, part of the official record of this meeting. Any further comments? Dan, please call the roll to receive and file those items.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado?
Aye.
Councilmember Salzman?
Aye.
Councilmember Sanguinetti?
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy?
Aye. As you recall, we did table discussion at our last meeting. Councilmember Corrado, can I please have a motion to remove that item that was tabled at the last meeting so that we can proceed to consider a slightly revised proposal?
I move that we remove the item regarding authorizing the supervisor to enter into an agreement with Zolad's Construction Company from the table.
Second.
There's no discussion on motions to remove from the table, I don't believe, but if anybody has anything, if not, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado?
Aye.
Councilmember Salzman?
Aye.
Councilmember Sanguinetti?
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy?
Aye. Councilmember Warner, if you would make the motion on the item that is...
Bill, the sole item on the agenda is to authorize the supervisor to enter an agreement with Zolad Construction Company, INC, for construction services related to the Town Hall renovation project Phase 2 site work in an amount not to exceed $4,482,150, and to execute any change orders in an amount not to exceed 10% of the total price. I move that we adopt the resolution before us.
Second.
Dan, please call the roll, and then we will have discussion. Oh, no, I'm sorry. This, we're past the taking it off the table. Never mind. I'm sorry. Okay. We have a motion on the table to consider entering into an agreement with Zolad's Construction, which was the low bidder. And let me back up a little bit and talk about how we got here. At the end of, last month, we went out to bid for site work at the Town Hall project. We received 4 bids, and Zolad's Construction was the low bidder at $4,482,000. The resolution you have before you would accept that bid and authorize that we enter into an agreement with them, but it includes a change from the proposal that was before the board last Wednesday night. Let me talk a little bit about what the site work is on the project. First, it involves enhancing really an inadequate dry well-based drainage system on the site. We're doing a lot of work on the inside of the building, but as people comment frequently, when you go out into the parking lot, there's potholes everywhere. It's not in great shape, and that is a function of some significant drainage issues on the site. Town Hall is 73 years old. That cornerstone says 1953, so they did things differently back then. We will continue to use dry wells, particularly in the front of the building, but there will be additional infiltration-based drainage systems installed. Once we'll be doing that. One of the challenges of this project is that the two wings of Town Hall, the public safety wing, where the police and the courts are, and the library, are both continue to operate. So while they don't need as many parking spaces as they need when the building is in full operation, it's important that there be parking for those operations as we continue. So getting through the overall parking field and getting that work done is not as simple as just laying down a coat of asphalt. It will take more time, first to do the drainage and then also to do the pavement. The existing, bless you, yes, thank you. The existing pavement will be removed and reconfigured in several areas, including enhanced pedestrian connections throughout the site, and we'll show an image up on the screen in a moment. The goal is to complete the site work while the asphalt plants are open in 2026, in other words, by about the middle of November. This timeline is important because if we're not able to do that, we will have to remain in this building. We can't go back into a building that is, with a parking lot that's not complete, not plowable, and that will extend our period of time here in this building well into 2027 at a significant rental cost. Also, we can anticipate prices being what they are and tariffs and nonsense being what they are these days, that the project itself will be more expensive, possibly significantly more expensive, if we're not able to do the work this year. Glenn, if you would put up the first image, the new site image. Thank you. So just to get everybody oriented, Elmwood Avenue is down here. This is the main entrance to Town Hall. Here is the central Town Hall building that's been under construction. That's the library, and that is the public safety wing where the court and the police department are located. Some differences are probably going to jump out at you. In particular, we've talked about all of the new pedestrian connections. Those take several forms. Let's start here at the north. You see pool, and that's the existing site of the pool. There's, of course, a little sidewalk going down to the main sidewalk that comes from Sylvan Road and the Roselawn neighborhood down to the Town Hall campus. This is the sidewalk that will go along that north side of the parking lot. So people will be able to come down that trail and use a new sidewalk. Again, this is as pedestrian-friendly set of improvements, which we've really been working hard on. They will be able to take one of two approaches. They can go here and go directly down to the library entrance across this crosswalk that does not exist now. So if you're coming from the Roselawn neighborhood, go down this sidewalk, go down this sidewalk, and into the building. Also, of course, the same is true if you're coming from the pool. Some people have asked me, why don't you show the recreation facilities? And the reason is they have not been designed yet. They will be designed with community input. As you know, we have received $700,000 in grant money from Senator Cooney to build a splash pad on the site, and $500,000 from Assemblymember Clark to rehabilitate the pool and the pool mechanical building. Our goal in working on the pool, beside bringing it up to date, is to make sure it is accessible for all users. We will also have an accessible playground on the site and a pavilion. But those only the pool, we know where the pool is going to go because it's going to stay right where it is now. So you will have connections from the neighborhood and from those recreational facilities to the library, and we see some real synergy there. But also coming the other direction to this crosswalk, which will take you to either the public safety wing, if you need to see the police or the courts, or town hall itself through this entrance. And there is, as there has been, that is one accessible entrance to the building, and there is an elevator back there. But what's special about this, it's more than a crosswalk. It's what's called a speed table. It is not only a crosswalk, but it's raised. It's sort of a trapezoid. I think I remember those correctly. About 8 inches raised. It is a traffic calming device. It is one of the many traffic calming features of this new design. So again, people will be able to come from the neighborhood and use either one of these to the court, to town hall, or come down this way to the library. And of course, we have new crosswalks here to get people from the library parking lot into that entrance. We also have a crosswalk here from the trail that comes up from Elmwood, again, to cross onto this sidewalk. You can get to the court building or to the town hall. So all of those items are connected in a way that, really none of them exist today. All of those changes will significantly improve the walkability of the site. I know there's been a lot of conversation about trees, so let me, Glenn, if you would go to the tree, yes, okay. In January, the Conservation Board, can everybody see that? I'll explain, well, I know the writing is very, very small. I want to focus on the trees for a moment. In January, the Conservation Board approved the removal of 9 trees on the site as part of the site work. Each one of them is the subject of a report by the arborist, the town's arborist, and we'll get to the arborist report. Someone even questioned at our last meeting whether the town has an arborist. We do. And wrote up a description of each of them. Several of them, the arborist recommended removal. Several of them, some of the others, they recommended keeping. The green trees that you see in the front here are 3 trees. One is a 20-inch locust, the largest one here, and these 2 are 8 and 10-inch hawthorns, I believe. They were recommended for removal by the arborist, and they were among the 9 trees that the Conservation Board reviewed in January. What we have done, however, is we have identified a very minor change to the site plan that will enable us to preserve, to keep all 3 of those trees. What we have, and you'll see that that area looks a little bit different. As you know, currently, the driveway comes down here, there's sort of a 45-degree and then out. We've changed that to 2 90-degree turns for a couple reasons. One, again, traffic calming. 2, it will allow us to install a left turn lane. When it was at an angle, there wasn't enough room, stacking room, to put in a left turn. So now, just like there is on the library side, people exiting the building will have either a left or a right turn. With this design that was before you at the last meeting, we've made one change. That is, we've taken out a little square right here. We've removed 2 parking spaces. There were 4 parking spaces there to the south of that crosswalk. We have removed 2 of them, and that gives room for those 2 small hawthorn trees and the locust tree down here. These are the hawthorns. The locust here, we will be giving direction to our contractor to work on that part of the project in a way that provides the minimum disturbance to the root system of that tree. It's close, but we're going to make every possible effort to preserve that tree. This very, very small tree, I saw someone trying to count 9 trees. This tree is a very small tree located right at the side of where our new accessibility ramps are to the front entrance and right in front of the town clerk's window. It is smack dab up against the building. It is only a 6-inch diameter cedar tree. The roots are already putting the foundation of the building at risk, and we are going to be removing that very small tree. Now, in the back, we have 2 locust trees back here, a 24-inch locust and a 26-inch locust. Locust trees are generally known as somewhat invasive. Our arborist reviewed both of these trees, rated them. Those are the highest, and when I say highest rated, that's not a good thing, trees, and our arborist recommended that both of those trees be removed. They're at risk of failure, and the targets they would fall on, either towards the recreational facilities or towards vehicles coming through or parked on the site, make it not advisable to try to keep those trees. So we are following the arborist's recommendation and removing those trees. These 3 trees, this area is currently our police parking lot. These 3 trees are basically on the north side of that parking lot. We all know that unfortunately these days, cars are too often the subject of vandalism. These aren't just any cars, though. Our police cars have expensive electronic and other equipment in them. Right now, they are completely open to the public. There is no fence, there is no gate. Those of you that were here last Wednesday night heard Police Chief Cathaldi ask that the town board continue to support the fence and gate that is proposed to be included here. To put in the fence, the gate will be here, the fence will come along here and around, would necessitate removing those trees. Those are about 10 to 12 inch, relative small to medium sized trees that would have to be removed in order to put that fence in. Now, the chief is out of town tonight, but as I mentioned, he spoke at the meeting. The other problem with those trees is the sap from the trees stains the cars, and the chief has had to use a specialized cleaner to clean the cars on a regular basis. But obviously, the most important concern is the security of our police cars. And putting in a fence is, in the chief's opinion, and I agree with him, a very, very important change to the site. Ken, if you can go down to the reports, our arborist reports. Here are the reports on those two hawthorn trees in front. If you could scroll down to the recommendation. Their comments there, you will see, suggest removal. We are keeping that tree. We are keeping both the 8-inch and 10-inch hawthorns in front. If you would scroll down to the, the locust tree. That is the locust tree that's in front along the north parking lot. And if you'd scroll down, again, suggest removal with a new tree in a suitable area. We are going to make every effort to preserve that tree by doing construction work in a way that will minimize any impact on the roots. So rather than following the recommendation of removing the tree, we will try to keep it grow. Could you scroll back up again? Just to clarify, keep going. Thanks. Our arborist, somebody questioned whether the town has an arborist. Kyle Sears is our arborist, and that is Mr. Sears's certified number as an arborist. We're very proud of our staff and the work that we do, and having an arborist as part of our public works staff is an important part of our work. If you can scroll down to the those large locust trees in the back. Here's the cedar again. We talked about this one. It's a very low risk tree in terms of what keeps scrolling down to the description of the impact. It's a problem in the close proximity to the building. The recommendation is to remove that tree. We looked at relocating it, but honestly, it's not in good enough condition to make sense to remove it. You can see it right out in front of the town clerk's office, but there's an image of it. You can see whether it's deer. The lower part of the tree has been significantly compromised. We will be, just again to note, we will be replacing any trees removed from the town hall campus on a 2-to-1 basis. So we will replace this tree, for example, with 2 new trees. And if you could go down then to the 2 large locust trees, there's one of them, 24-inch locust. If you could scroll down, This is rated a 9. In particular, the target rating 4, that's the highest level. Tree's starting to decline. Too heavy, unbalanced leads, removing them would be close to 30% removal of the tree. The root system has been compromised by the geothermal system, and the recommendation is to remove that tree. Again, the proximity to the parking lot and the recreation facilities makes it particularly problematic. And if you scroll down to the next tree, here's some pictures. You can see that main lead. The heavy branch of the tree is leaning at close to a 45-degree angle over the parking lot and over areas where kids are likely to be playing. You can see that it's been trimmed multiple times. It's a little harder to see in the snow, but, and if you keep scrolling, again, you can just get the sense the whole tree is leaning in. And the tree hazard evaluation form on the other locust tree back there, very, very similar. The recommendation is it has a large amount of deadwood, it's in decline. They recommend removal and replacement with a new tree. And if you'd scroll down to the images, you can see where it has multiple times been trimmed, and there's also a bark. That cracking there is a sign of issues with the tree as well. And of course, there's one of the potential objects that it would land on, our street light, but also the vehicle right there. Okay. Why don't you go, if you could, I think you can turn that off for now. We'll turn it back on if we need to. So at this time, I think we can, we have the motion on the floor. The motion has been made and seconded to consider this awarding this grant to Zolads with what is a very minor change order right here to take out those 2 parking spaces, reinstall the curb there instead of out here. And of course, what that also means is that we would not expend the cost of cutting down those 2 trees. So with a very, very minor change order there, I will open the floor to discussion from the audience. County Legislator Smith. Sue Hughes Smith.
Thank you so much, Bill. Thank you, council members. I know you've already received our letter from Legislator Blankley and myself, so I come tonight on the request of Karen Berger, and I'd just like to read her letter on her behalf. I know it's
her letter is in the record,
packet.
but you're free to.
Thank you so much. So do you want her address as well? As
you
if
don't
she
need
was
it.
here? Okay.
We know it.
All right. So, dear Supervisor Maley and Town Board members, I'm writing in reference to the January recommendations by the Conservation Board regarding tree removal and replacement on the Town Hall campus. I write as an individual and chair of the Conservation Board, not on behalf of the board in its entirety, after having heard from a number of deeply concerned citizens. If I weren't out of state, I would be sharing this statement in person at today's meeting. We reviewed 6 tree reports for 2300 Elmwood Avenue at our January 13th meeting. None of the assessments provided by the town arborist were at the level where we would normally be recommended for removal. On a hazard scale of 1 to 12, where 12 is the highest risk, the 6-inch weeping cedar had a rating of 3, the 8-inch and 10-inch hawthorns and 20-inch locusts each had a rating of 4, and the 24 and 26-inch locusts had a rating of 9. For comparison, the hazard ratings of trees we are regularly asked to evaluate typically range from 10 to 12. We were told that all these trees would be threatened by the renovations to the site. This is the reason why we moved forward with approving the recommendations for removal and replacement, a decision which I have since learned was made without complete information. Although we are advisory to the planning board, we were never notified by members of the planning board, town staff, or our town board liaison about the concerns that had been raised by the planning board about the renovations Phase 2 designs. Had those concerns been communicated to us, the Conservation Board may well have responded differently to the recommendation that these trees be removed. We would have questioned the design decisions that included expanding parking at the expense of trees. We were led to believe that the project design itself was not up for discussion, and we were only asked to assess whether those trees would be able to remain and thrive under the circumstances. An additional concern about the proposed removal of these trees and the timing of the next 2 town hall phases is that these trees, including 2 significant ones, would be removed relatively soon under Phase 2, even though we have not yet seen plans for Phase 3 to indicate where they would be replaced and with what type and maturity of tree. This will result in a significant time gap between when those trees would be removed and when they would be replaced. Given the relatively small size of most new tree replacements, this will result in a de facto decline in our tree canopy for many years to come. Given the recent information that has come to light about concerns raised by the Planning Board more than a year prior to our January 26 meeting, I am writing to strongly request a pause in moving forward on the Phase 2 and Phase 3 designs until more community input can be solicited. While we cannot turn back the clock and create pathways of communication where they did not exist, we can move forward in a way that aims to ensure the trust and engagement of all concerned citizens about this valuable piece of public green space in the heart of our community. Sincerely, Karen Berger, Chair, Conservation Board. Thank you.
Sue.
You're welcome.
Just want to make sure we got the timer here. Okay, is there anyone else that would like to address the board at this time? Yes, please. Come on up, and again, if you would, please state your name.
Hello, again. My name is Corinne Chiagna. I'm going to spell it for them. Chiogna. And I reside at 305 Sylvan Road. Town board members, never would I have imagined that I would be standing up here again. Yet here I am, my last plea, to ask you to do the right thing and vote on the amendment before you this evening, as proposed last week. I had faith in the process, but the process was not followed. You put the burden on the public to seek information about Phase 2 of the Town Hall project. You did not engage the community with any informational meetings. You said the Brighton community should have known about the project that was nearly impossible to find on your website. Additionally, you surprised us tonight with this new idea. Mr. Maley, I emailed you about 2 years ago about this project and the community safety concerns I had. You never responded. I was told by other board members that you are very busy and don't have time to answer your constituent emails. I find that unacceptable.
And I apologize if that's the case.
It is. I see you standing in 12 Corners, protesting no kings and asking for democracy. This is not what democracy looks like. You have diligently served this community, and I thank you for that. But I feel you are leaving a legacy that does not represent your committed years of service to this town, and that's unfortunate. In terms of the additional parking behind the library for a future, unapproved, with no public engagement splash pad, that will supposedly generate traffic to warrant such an unrealistic need for the excessive parking shown on this plan, I will offer this to you all. In God we trust, all others bring the data. To date, there has been no known parking study to warrant this plan. An alternate that does not include the removal of this excessive parking lot and the current proposed circuitous, unsafe pedestrian path to the library is unacceptable. Last week, the current plan was described by a board member as good enough. Good enough is simply not good enough for Brighton. It does not represent the design principles and best practices expected and deserved by this community. Community deserves better, and you can change the course of this ill-conceived plan. Please vote to approve the practical, environmentally friendly, and cost-saving amendment before you tonight, and not this last-minute drawing you talked about, at length, I might add, at the beginning of this special meeting. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I put this in the record?
Yes, please, just give it to town clerk.
Thank you. I had to amend it so there's handwritten on there.
No worries.
If you want to send a fully typed one, you can always do that too, but this is fine.
Is there anyone else that would like to address the board on this matter? Mr. Castelline?
So my name is Tom Castelline. I live at 190 Sylvan Road. I too have amended my comments as prepared. I did prepare comments. They have been sent in. You just voted on receiving them. The general gist of that is just to reiterate my opinion that the segregation of the design of Phase 2, the parking lot, and Phase 3, the recreational and public amenity aspects of this public space is a mistake that is detrimental to the quality of the design outcome. And in my opinion, building the elements that need to tie together between these two phases, building it now, having it become built fact, is just doubling down on that mistake. I'd like to take the balance of the time just to make some comments about particularly the pedestrian and non-motor vehicle aspects of the design. I don't believe that the north-south movement of pedestrians and cyclists through this property has been appropriately considered. Sylvan Road is a designated bike boulevard by the town. This is not really reflected in those plans, nor is the notable presence of the Brickyard Trail to the southwest. The east-west sidewalk that's at the north side of the parking field is 5 feet wide. It's an integral curb sidewalk with cars parked up against it, which means that integral curb, the edge of the sidewalk, is sort of the most effective wheel stop there is. So front or rear of these vehicles can overhang that sidewalk, restricting that space. And just in general, the width of that sidewalk is something that needs to be shared by pedestrians, by cyclists, by families with strollers, seems inadequate. The entrance to the town hall that was pointed to with the elaborate raised table crossing and 10-foot wide sidewalk is not the primary or the best accessible entrance to the town hall. That is on the other side of the constructed bump out there, the other side of the auditorium block. That is where the elevator is located. That's where the signage is that direct you when you're coming to coming to vote at the town hall. So I think the bias towards the public safety side of this facility is somewhat heavy-handed. So thank you very much. I think that there should be a pause, and I don't think these elements should be constructed as shown and designed right now. I think those elements need to be considered holistically with other features of the site which are yet to be thoughtfully considered in any way. Thank you.
Thank you. Just a couple of comments. I appreciate the thought on the sidewalk, and maybe that's something that, the width of that can be considered when we get to that point in the project. Yes, there are two entrances in the rear of the town hall, and there is a sidewalk there that connects the two of them. So the folks coming up from here, if they want to use this entrance, can do so that way.
And what is the purpose of the two large overhead doors that face onto that sidewalk right now?
Here,
Yes.
we have added the only spatial addition to the building is to add approximately 400 square feet, a relatively small space in the context of the overall building, that our facilities department is using, they will use for the storage of facilities-related equipment, mowers, tools, and things like that.
From the exterior, it looks a lot like a loading dock.
It is not a loading dock, but it does have it has an overhead door. It's an equipment storage facility.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to address the board? Yes.
Hi, everyone. I'm Lindsay Vatic. I didn't prepare statements, so this is very on the fly, but I had a couple of thoughts occur to me as I was listening, and I want to share them. Firstly, I think that it might be a little bit misconstrued because I didn't see the splash pad on the plan. And if we did see that on there, I think that we could potentially see how much actual green space we are losing through this plan. So not only the loss of the trees, but also the actual grass. I mean, it reminds me of the song, like, cut down the trees, put up a parking lot, right? That's exactly what we're doing here. And so I think if you zoomed out and put the splash pad there, we would see a loss of massive green space. And I also think that where these trees are located, I mean, those on the periphery, it seems like you could easily modify the parking lot to leave the trees there. And over here, you could even have one of those little boulevards that maintains the trees and the look of the space. I mean, the energy of that space is a green space where our children climb trees, where they play on the playground when it used to be working, when it used to be there. And we're really losing that. I mean, does anybody here want to lose that? Can we raise our hands if we don't want to lose that? Let's raise our hands because we want you to hear us. You're our representatives. Thank you.
Thank you. Just a couple thoughts, and one was something I meant to mention to Mr. Castelline. But I'll talk about both because it again relates to Phase 3. Again, you don't see where the splash pad or the pavilion will be because those are design features that we will be reaching out for community input to work with our design professionals on designing. It will not take up anywhere close to all of the green space in the rear of the building and will not be putting any of these great pine trees back here that I know are so important as screening. None of those will be in jeopardy. So, but much of this green space will still be here. Now, I wanted to comment on Mr. Castelline's, the issue of bicycle access through from the Bike Boulevard and Sylvan out to the Brickyard Trail. It's tight here, but as part of Phase 3, we will be considering whether we can put in probably a stone dust access route to bypass the parking lots. These two trees, and there is a lot of greenery back here along the boundaries of the folks up here on Eastland, and there is not a lot of room there. Plus, there are some issues with drainage pipes and terrain. It's not a slam dunk that we're going to be able to do it, but it's something that we're going to look at and see if it's possible, and if so, it would be included in Phase 3 along with the recreation facilities up here. So I know that, you know, they're not on the map yet because they haven't been designed, but they are things that we will be giving serious consideration to going forward. Is there anyone else that would like to address the town board? Yes, Mr. Price, why don't you let this?
No, that's all right.
She had her hand up earlier.
That's quite all right.
All right.
Bill?
Thank you, Jody. Mr. Maley, will you please put the other drawing up?
Which drawing, please?
The first drawing, the
Sure.
other. There is no other than that. You have two. The other drawing, that one.
Sure.
Two things real quick. I'm not going to focus on this plan. But first off, this is the most information the supervisor has given the public in 2 years. We have never been presented this information. Now, he's cherry-picked the information to present to you, and he's ignored the information that we've been commenting on for 2 years. I am Bill Price. I have lived at 305 Sylvan Road, and I am the chairman of the planning board for 33 years. I resigned the position over this issue in December of last year. We have also lost 2 other planning board members over what this board has presented and advanced, with no consideration from the public and no respect for what the planning board members and the conservation board members have offered. So you all can look at this and you can think, I can provide you the alternatives that have been presented, and I can provide all of the documentation we have presented as to why this is deficient for pedestrian safety and why we don't need to lose green space or one tree. Not saving 2, 3 little trees. And by the way, the arborist report is not the legal requirement. The legal requirement is the conservation board to act and advise the town board, not the arborist. And by the way, the total falsehood is that they can't move into town hall without the site work being done. Totally wrong. Okay, now I'll start my speech. I am here tonight regarding the resolution to approve Town Hall Phase 2 site improvement contract. Over 20-plus months, we have documented a series of failures by this board to comply with town law and state law. On March 5th, I emailed Councilmember Warner, who is the chair of the Public Works Committee, and asked them to please put the drawings on the town website in the document center. They refused. I was told that had to be done through Freedom of Information. You have to, as a resident of this town, ask for a Freedom of Information request to get the documents that you're paying for. Mr. Maley responded to my request to Chris directly, saying that had to be a FOIL submission. On March 16th, I submitted a FOIL request to the Department of Environmental Conservation and to Monroe County DOT covering seeker, which is environmental review, stormwater, and stormwater permits. The DEC responded on March 30th. The DEC said we can produce no responsive records to this project. On May 6th, documents from Monroe County included several things, but they only covered the curb cut relocation on Elmwood Avenue and stormwater discharge. There is no evidence that the town reached out to coordinate environmental review with Monroe County, a permitting agency. John Osowski, a former planning board member, submitted a separate FOIL request to the town of Brighton covering all environmental review, parking analysis, legal guidance, stormwater permits, and segmentation of phases 2 and 3. The town responded on April 13th.
30 seconds, Mr. Price.
The town responded on April 13th and said, we will not respond to this request until June 23rd as to whether or not we will grant this request. Is that reasonable? Okay, I'm going to guess the 4 questions that I asked you before, you're not prepared to answer. Your attorney is not here, and I assume that you have not done the things that were asked. This administration, the town professional staff, and your consultants have refused to answer specific questions of town and state law.
Time.
Unless you provide
Time,
those
Mr. Price.
answers here and
Mr.
now,
Price.
the residents of this town will conclude that you have knowingly and deliberately
Mr. Price, you will have
violated
the
local and
opportunity
state
to.
law.
Mr. Price, you will
Whether
have
these
the
actions are
opportunity.
challenged and this town faces, when these actions are challenged and this town faces cost overruns brought on by your deliberate decisions, we will hold you personally responsible for those expenses, not us, the taxpayers. Thank you.
Do you want to submit that in writing, Mr. Price?
I sure do, and I will not give you the documents. I'm giving the documents to the media.
Is there anyone else that would like to address the town board?
I would.
Yes, oh, yes, there you are, please.
I'm Jody McGarry. I live at 296 Sylvan Road, up against the dead end in the town lot. Our lot is 60 by 120, so I got about 2 feet next to my house that is not my property. And I highly oppose Phase 1 because Phase 3 could be right out of my window. And I oppose 100%. I put up an entire row of arborvitaes to have some privacy from the town hall. Looking at the police, and it's just, it's a beautiful place. Just leave it the way it is. Kids playing in the field, young adults playing frisbee. You're making it too congested. You're making it too congested, and I completely disagree with everything you're doing.
Thank you. Mr. Swossman?
Is there anybody else that wants to speak? I'm happy to let it go first. If nobody else is going to speak, I might steal 30 seconds from somebody. If that's quite all right. I'm Serge Swossman. I live at 110 Oak Lane. I'm a former planning board member, resigned last Wednesday in protest of this project. I'd like to address you today and read my message to the board. Dear board members of the town, the strong public and media turnout at last week's meeting made one thing undeniably clear. The flaws in the current town hall site improvement plan are too significant to ignore. While I appreciate the board delayed the vote to contemplate a reduction in scope and save a few trees, we must recognize that a minor revision to a fundamentally broken plan is a concession, not a solution. We should not be debating an 11th-hour construction-ready plan that is, by the administration's own admission, merely good enough. As a design professional, I can professionally attest that this plan is not good enough for our town or our taxpayers. A design for a town hall park and campus cannot be executed effectively without a comprehensive master plan. Any landscape architect worthy of a civic project at this scale would refuse to engage in a process that fails to consider the site as a whole and the welfare of its community members. Doing this would be a major breach in professional ethical standards. The current plan suffers from critical generational flaws. The design fails to thoughtfully consider essential connections to the Sylvan neighborhood, the Brickyard Trail, Elmwood Avenue, the library. Furthermore, vital community amenities within the Town Hall Park, including the pool, playground, and splash pads, are entirely unaddressed and disconnected from the main complex. Failing to combine these construction phases is a tragic mistake. Splitting the site work will not only inflate mobilization costs for taxpayers, but it will also further delay public access to critical infrastructure that our community has already been denied for the past 2 years. A rushed timeline driven by the outgoing supervisor serves a personal calendar, not the constituents. The argument that this flawed plan is a bird in the hand falls flat when the supervisor cannot even establish consensus among his own board. There is no external time pressure here. The hardship we are facing is entirely self-inflicted by a process that shut out public input for over 2 years. The immediate residents living closest to the project remain completely unaware it is even happening. Many of the families most impacted by these plans are young, busy residents who care deeply about their community but lack the flexibility to participate in rigid town meetings. They deserve a voice and a seat at the table for public space they are paying for. The internal dysfunction of this process has now spilled into plain sight. 3 planning board members have resigned in protest over this faulty process because their professional objections were repeatedly dismissed and their statements deliberately misrepresented by the supervisor. Furthermore, over 300 local citizens have signed a petition to pause this project until their voices are heard. Yet, you continue full steam ahead operating in a vacuum and denying the public a transparent process. What we saw last Wednesday was a dysfunctional board that appears unqualified to design a sign for a retirement home complex, let alone orchestrate the master plan for our own entire town hall campus. There is absolutely no reason the town staff cannot move back to the town hall while we take the time to do this right.
30 seconds, Mr.
What is the
Foster.
rush and who actually benefits from it? I implore this board to vote to pause the contract award process. Let us reject a segmented, rushed design and instead commit to a transparent, thoughtful master plan that combines these phases and reflects the true input of our residents. Let's build a unique civic campus we can all be proud of, rather than living with generational mistakes. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to address the board? Yes, sir.
I am John Stewart. I live at 86 Bonnybur Avenue, and with my wife Karen Frutiger is one of the correspondents here. If anybody would like to have that, see me and I'll have it forwarded to you.
I think we all got.
You all got it.
Yes.
But they all didn't see it.
It's on the website.
Okay. So I've been thinking about what I would say tonight after last Wednesday's meeting. And I had to change what I was going to say continually through this meeting. The first thing I want to say to the folks that haven't heard a lot of this before, the thing that really bothers me about the town hall project is what appears to be the lack of transparency and not leveraging the professionals on our planning board. And I've known some of them for a long time and gotten to know some others recently, and it just blows my mind. But the other thing that is really bothering me is when we walk in the room, we left the room last Wednesday night with Clara Sanguinetti's attempt to amend the proposal and keep this moving and, I guess, put a stop to a couple changes that would have given us time to properly discuss things and have more public input. And I've never seen anything like the supervisor's attempt to divert people's attention as we walk in. And it was, I guess, was that an attempt to give us an abbreviated planning board? It's what it felt like. So I guess the thing I would like to say about the bird in the hand, it appeared to me it's the same thing tonight. It's a canary in a coal mine, not a bird in the hand. So I'll just close with, because I think I'm the last person. I think the town board members need to vote with common sense and their heart, because I know that some people are aligned with the supervisor on pretty much most everything. And I think he's going to be gone, and you're going to be holding the bag when he's gone. And we're going to be holding the bag, but we'll be holding it together. And I think I'm just so disappointed. And I'll just throw in, I'm disappointed what's going on with the school, too. So, I'll just say this. We ain't going to take it anymore. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes?
My name's Lauren Macy. I live at 56 Oak Lane. I also was not planning on saying anything today, but a couple things came to my mind. I'm not an arborist. I don't know if anyone else in the room is. Unfortunately, I wish there was somebody here, but I can tell you I've had a few at my house, and we have leaning trees, and I've asked about them, and they've all assured me, trees lean for light, and it's okay. They learn to grow strong in some areas to hold themselves up so they can lean. It's not an excuse to take a tree down. And another thing is that, these are older trees. There's going to be some things that go wrong or some pruning that they need or, the bark is like this here. Okay, well, yeah, the tree has a lifespan, but it's not at it yet. This is the time to grow a tree near it so it's ready. So when that one has to come down, then the other tree will be more in a stage of heading towards maturity at that point. Why wait for it to come down, then start something new? The other thing I want to say is the locust trees being called invasive is confusing to me because when I go out there, I don't see a ton of locust trees all over the place. They mow, and therefore there's no way that these can spread throughout the property, and so I don't know if that's a concern. The other thing I want to mention is that a town board is representing the residents of our town as a whole, and their role is to act in public interest and make decisions on behalf of the community. I keep hearing the members of the town board discussing over and over again about the temporary needs of the staff at the town hall. And while I am not saying that the staff matters any less, what I am saying is our town board was elected to represent our community. And here we are. Each one of the board members was elected to represent us, the constituents. So who is representing us? Who is representing our children? Who is thinking about the future of this town beyond today's convenience? Who is hearing us? Residents have spoken repeatedly about preserving mature trees and protecting the walkability and pedestrian safety and making thoughtful long-term decisions. These concerns are not insignificant, and they should not be dismissed as obstacles to a project. A town hall should reflect the people it serves, and right now, many residents feel unheard. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to? Mr. Jacobson, yes.
It's Mr. Sardi.
I mean, sorry.
That's all right. So quickly, it sounds like I'm,
Threw me off.
what do you call it, bird walking or diverging from the thing. But I think the most important, lots of important things, and there's experts that I appreciate talking about it because I have not worked in designing things. I'm not an arborist. I grow some pretty good tomatoes, but if you need any later in the year. Anyway, and I don't want to do the I told you so thing because it doesn't help, but when we had the assessment and I went around my neighborhood talking to people, and a lot of people come to me because I've owned a few houses and said, this doesn't make sense. Mine's too high, my neighbor's is too low, and people were in an uproar, and rightly so. I wrote a letter to the town and said, I really think something's wrong. I think you need to step back. Because it wasn't just saying mine's too high. But there was ones in my neighborhood that were way nicer than mine that were way lower. There was something wrong, right? We all make mistakes. One of the lessons in my life, I've become very good at, saying oops and having to do things again. I've made a lot of mistakes. And this is kind of maybe too broad for a specific discussion, but what I find, every time I've tried to continue after I blundered, it gets worse every time. So if this is indeed a blunder, which some very eloquent people have pointed out, you got to stop. It won't be more expensive to stop. It'll be more expensive to keep going. That is a true statement. It's like, my mother told me when I was screwing up, stop screwing up because it's going to get worse. Tell us what you did, and we'll see if we can fix it. And we might bail you out. But so that's the broad lesson here, I think. And we should have learned it from the assessment. I wrote a letter to the town. I got a letter back that said, no, Mr. Zoglin, we can't redo it. A lot of work went into this. We did a very careful job. About a week and a half later, the town said, oops. Say oops now, before it's later. Because I bet you that assessment's going to cost us a lot more the second, to do again. It's okay. It's okay to make them, none of us are perfect. I couldn't have designed that or anything close to what these people are talking about. If it's misguided and you have some very intelligent people telling you that there's some flaws, stop. It won't get cheaper. if you keep going. Don't go off a cliff. Stop, think about it. You know, it's kind of a Mr. Rogers type of lesson, and that's what I have to offer. I'm glad I'm in the neighborhood.
Thank you, Mr. Zogler. Is there anyone else that would like to address the board? Why don't I'll let you speak, and then I'll let the county legislator speak for a second. Just want to clarify, nobody else that hasn't spoken yet? Oh, well then.
It's going to be quick.
Okay.
Okay, so this is very unprecedented twice and never done this before. I just feel like it's occurring to me again and again as I look at this that if we go through this plan and we, cut down some trees and try to put in a parking lot, like, have we paused and thought about what's happening at the high school? Has any soil testing been done? I mean, we're preparing this project for splash pad for children to play there, playground for children. We're going to be disrupting the soil. And if we had done the due diligence in the high school project, we wouldn't be in the situation we're in now with expensive toxic mitigation facing us. And that's the last thing we would want to happen in this project. And I don't personally know the history at all of this property, but I hope that someone has done the work to look into that.
Thank you. Who wanted to, yes, there you are.
I'm Eliza Dooley. I live at 300 Palm Road. I have nothing prepared, but it's just really, really striking to me to hear all these professionals giving really well thought out opinions that have education behind them. Again, I haven't seen a lot of this, a little bit, but I mean, I've got a dozen questions just now looking at this as like just a regular person. Like, why is there that gigantic crosswalk, and what does that mean, crosswalk? How is it painted? I know we've heard about the trapezoid raised one, but that's the left one is the main one that families are going to get to what used to be the playground and trees and green space. So I don't know, it just feels like there are dozens and dozens of significant questions on this phase 2 that seems to be logically separated from the main event, which is whatever is happening with the rest of the space. Why we're all coming here? Why is there all this parking? Like, that's the reason. So why wouldn't it all be designed together so that we can understand how it should all be working? Like, you're saying you can't maybe connect with the Brickyard Trail. I don't know about any of this stuff. It just seems like you're setting this in stone, and then we're all going to have to deal with the consequences later of potentially redesigning it, or like, oh, I guess we don't have to take those trees out, or, oh, would have made more sense if we cut that corner of that parking lot because then we could do this and that and that. And again, I echo, it just seems like a decision that's being forced in an untimely way for convenience, and I urge you super strongly also to pause.
Thank you. Sue?
Okay. Thank you again, council members, Supervisor Maley. I didn't come with prepared remarks, but as I sit here and reflecting on really both you all as individuals, who I know to be really very thoughtful, very engaged, very interested in moving forward what's best for the community, I do see that sincerely. I think that is very true of each one of you. I also know in my conversation with you all when I've reached out with concern about, increasing paving and, not expanding parking, the common thread was, well, we're going to have a splash pad, so we're going to have more need. And I just want to remind us that other than today, we're probably going to use the splash pad in the pool in July and August, right? It's a very short use amenity. It is going to be a fabulous amenity. I totally look forward to seeing the whole completed project. I think our community is going to benefit immensely from it. Just even from a place where, like, my aging mom could sit on a park bench and watch kids play, which she super loves to do, right? So it'll be fabulous, but we need to get it right the first time. I think there's really no reason to lose, any green space in moving this forward. We really could think thoughtfully, like July and August, the whole community slows. Things quiet. The library's quieter. Maybe we could make some shifts in our planning of events and other things to accommodate this different use. I really believe in us. I believe in Brighton. I believe that we can think about these problems differently, but we have to have the courage to pause and say, you know what, it's okay. And let's get it right the first time and bring everybody along with us. So I just encourage you and hope that you will take that action. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that wishes to address the town board? Then we can begin debate or any other.
On Teams.
Oh, yeah. I have not seen anybody indicate on Teams. If someone does come on, we can certainly continue to hear them, but at the moment, no, there is no one on Teams. Discussion from the board.
I have a few comments. I wanted to, first of all, thank all of you for being here. We usually hear local government is the closest to the people, but that doesn't really mean anything if we don't open the doors to have discussions like this. So I appreciate you all taking the time on, what it's a very hot evening. I also want to thank our county legislator, Sue Hugh Smith, for being here and speaking up, and as well as our, volunteer boards, the planning board, the Conservation Board, among many that we have. We're very blessed in this town to have several very talented volunteers that are sacrificing their time to give us, the town leadership and staff, precious guidance. Because not only they're professionals, they're also residents that are using these amenities on a daily basis. I remember it was 2 years ago, I was on the planning board when I first saw a sketch, and I remember thinking of me as a mom playing in the playground with my 3 kids, having to worry about my child going by themselves to the library, crossing 1 line of traffic, and now I'm looking at 3 lines of traffic. So that alone is a concern, but I'm gonna put that aside, because as I mentioned on Wednesday, I believe the design has many flaws. However, for the sake of time and moving the project along, I just recommended 3 minor changes, minor in the way of the time they would take, major in the way that it would save trees that we don't get back. I'm concerned because the arborist report that I just saw today or yesterday for the first time, I'm pretty sure the arborist may recommend a tree to come down if it's hazardous. I can understand that. I don't think the arborist is recommending to put down asphalt on its replacement. That's one thing. This design, I also find it misleading because it's not showing the green space we're missing. So if a tree must come down because it poses a danger to infrastructure or residents, replacing it with asphalt just makes the problem worse. We could have that, again, I go back to my major concern is the northwest point of the sidewalk where the playground used to be. As residents mentioned today, we have not done a parking study to justify adding more parking. We have not designed phase 3. We have not engaged the public to get input for phase 3. So there's a possibility in which we don't have a splash pad, for instance, which was given to us as the reason for adding more parking. So my concern is why don't we move ahead with just keeping that area as green space, and when we have phase 3 and we get the public's input, if for some reason the parking study does show a serious need for more parking, we can always add more parking later. We cannot regrow cut trees. That doesn't work that way. So again, going back to my comments on Wednesday, we can easily, get rid of the removal of these mature trees, save money in the removal, save money in the replanting, save money in the curb and the asphalt, while still have the majority of the site work moving ahead. So my main concern is that northwest, again, we haven't proved that we need to take down those trees. I believe one of the major flaws and I think it's a great learning opportunity for us, is not considering trees as basic infrastructure. We're considering our trees as an afterthought. And when we look at the trees, we've heard very serious reports from our conservation board that are pointing to our tree canopy declining. And that just has a ripple effect across the whole community. It's not just landscaping, it's not just we're missing pretty looking trees. That's causing flooding issues with stormwater issues. It's lowering the quality of our air. It's keeping our surfaces hotter. We know that we're taking down green space and putting asphalt. The consequences are dire. So it affects the health of our community, it affects the air quality. And as a town that prides itself in being so environmentally friendly, I just fear that this would go against what we preach on a daily basis. So to that end, I would like to propose that we amend the resolution we have with 3 points. And John, I don't know if John's on the line, but he wrote a resolution including 3 modifications. Number 1, for the library geothermal field area, eliminate the proposed parking expansion northwest of the library and restore the area to green space, preserving the mature trees. If the arborist and conservation board determine the trees are hazardous, replace them with 4 new trees. Number 2, in the town court Elmwood parking area, resurface the existing parking lot in its current layout rather than expanding it while preserving the mature trees. This still allows the Elmwood Avenue access drive to be widened. And last, Police Station Island. Remove the proposed sidewalk around the island north of the police station and keep the existing trees and green space. Direct the designer to explore options for a fence around the police parking lot that does not require removing green space or trees.
Is that, you're making that motion as a proposed amendment?
Yep.
Can you provide that language to the clerk?
He has it.
You have it?
John's, yeah.
You have that, okay. We have an amendment to the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Is there a discussion on the amendment to the motion?
Supervisor, I'd like to ask a few specific questions while we continue the conversation here. A couple of the speakers here, and I like to preface, I'm not an architect or an engineer, and I'll second that as well. I'm not an architect or an engineer, but I like to talk to people who are. And one question that was posed to me was, there's been discussion about the raised table crosswalk. Mm-hmm. And I'll tell you, I've heard positive things about this idea, both from the board, but also from the community. But one question I struggled to answer personally was, because we don't know the direction of Phase 3 yet, and what the community will direct us or guide us, and where our town staff will end up putting the amenities, the nightmare scenario of, well, the amenities are now in the way of where that crosswalk is already gone. And so the question that I was asked, I didn't have a good answer, was why not put the raised table crosswalk in Phase 3 of the project to make sure that we're not boxing ourselves in when the community comes to give feedback for that phase?
Well, I think there's a number of reasons. A big factor in terms of where you want a speed table is drainage on the site, and there were other locations that we looked at that would have caused significant drainage issues. But we won't be, that is a place. It's on the longest straightaway that doesn't cause any drainage issues. It's an important part of the connection to the building. And rather than just have crosswalks, for example, at the library side, you don't want to put a speed table in a place where cars are making a turn, as they are there. So for a lot of reasons, but again, going back to the real reason it's there, both as a crosswalk for pedestrian safety and for traffic calming, the consensus was that was the right place to put it.
And I'll tell you, I don't have a specific disagreement with that, Supervisor. I really don't. Is there a chance that that could get in the way of Phase 3 proposal? And I'm not sure what the community will come back to us with.
I don't think so, because the Phase 3 work will be not located on, within the parking field. What it will be doing is providing access for people who use the the recreational facilities, some of which are already, have been there. And I would note, not only do we delay the time we have to pay rent in this building, dramatically increasing costs, but we also delay the time at which those recreational facilities can be made available. We were provided with grant money to construct those facilities. People stop me all the time asking me when are my kids going to be able to play in the playground again? It's important, and moving ahead with the site work is a sine qua non. It's a prerequisite to being able to do any of those recreational facilities. So for all of those reasons, and I think in light of the many apparent advantages in this project, those are crosswalks, those are pedestrian access facilities that aren't there now at all, and what we have are potholes. And not being able to move forward, so-called pausing of this project, will simply not only increase costs of rent, increase construction costs. We heard about mobilization. The contractors for the phase, Zolads is not a recreation contractor. They will not be on the site doing, but if we have to delay this, it could increase those mobilization costs. So there are lots of reasons why I think we would be not well advised at all. And I also think, and we heard it the other day, and in communication from Mr. Hurley, the town engineer that is with the packet tonight, he has, after conversation with EDR, with our design team, the increased design cost of just reconfiguring that front public safety wing would be close to $100,000 and make it impossible to complete the project this year and perhaps next year. So we have had, please, we have had those conversations, and the impacts of just stopping would be multifold and very adverse.
And I just want to clarify, the question wasn't, on pausing the entire Phase 2, Supervisor. I was asking just specifically about the crosswalk raised table, and if that particular piece could be moved to Phase 3, would that set us back? Just because the fear of, well, maybe depending on where the community asks us to put the splash pad and the playground and the configuration of such, it might make more sense to put that crosswalk 3 feet to the right or to the left. I'm
hard pressed to see. We have a sidewalk that runs most of the length there. We have existing hardscape infrastructure that goes from that point to the rear entrance of not only the public safety wing, but town hall. So I am hard pressed to see the likelihood that, unless some future board decides not to accept the $1.2 million in grant money and not go ahead with the improvements to the recreation facilities, I don't see a scenario in which we would not want to have that crosswalk and, in fact, a speed table crosswalk there. Yep.
Have you ever heard of mansplaining?
Good. Nate, did you have any other questions?
I have a question.
I did, but I don't mind pausing and letting the community have input
It
again.
feels like the deliberations here is because this isn't even half-baked. You don't know where the public amenities are that these people want. So better yet, wait, just give me 1 second. Pause, design the whole thing, build the amenities first. Let's have the amenities, because we don't need this parking lot. It exists and we can use it today. Fill in the potholes, move your staff back tomorrow. It's been proven. I have Greg McMahon's letter of authenticity that he surveyed these in person. And he's told you specifically how many spots are available. You have to repair 38 spots to move back there and use the whole parking lot. Your plan is not fully baked. You're making a plan, an irrevocable plan to change this town for generations, and you don't know where your crosswalks connect to. Is there a splash pad there or is there a playground? We don't know. Is that what people want? They want to cycle through there. I don't want to tee into a 5-foot sidewalk next to somebody's bumper. That's not ideal. Who designs that? Who?
Who did design it? Do you know?
Did you pay them good money? I hope you didn't pay them good money because they don't deserve it.
If I could, Glenn, would you mind scrolling back down to the other side? By the way, Glenn's the best dressed guy in the room right now. That's a great shirt.
We match.
The three yellow trees by the police fence, I know we've heard about that both tonight but also on Wednesday night. Correct me if I'm wrong, right now that's grass and then trees. And we heard the chief and Glenn detail how the trees are dripping on the police cars and damaging them. I think you mentioned that again tonight. If the trees are removed, is there a reason why we're replacing that with pavement but not a lawn?
It's a couple of fold, but it's largely a function of the fact, maintenance. If it was a traditional lawn, and we can talk about, whether traditional lawns, but with a fence there, maintenance would have to be done with a weed whacker, and the weed whacker would cause damage to the fence material, scraping off the coating of the material and leading to rusting. This is not just, part of this, we've got the gate. This is not just your typical backyard fence. It is a fence that is coordinated with that gate, and the cost of it is much more significant than just a simple fence. So,
and I'll tell you where I was going with that, which is, I don't want the police vehicles to be damaged, but my thought was, if we left it lawn, maybe we could plant brush, shrubbery or other sorts of plants. And again, it's been mentioned, the feel of Town Hall campus, which I know we all appreciate.
And that's something that can be considered as a change order without stopping the project.
Right.
Understand that the amendment that's on the table would not permit any of that work to continue. And the communications that, including from the county legislator that said stop the project altogether would prevent any further work from going on. The security of our police vehicles is a vital concern. And so I defer to the chief on that need, just as I deferred to Glenn, whose estimate, as you see in the communication, was very accurate in terms of both the time and cost, and that was just doing a reconfiguration of the parking facility in the front of the public safety wing. a couple of months of design, which is exactly what he suggested, close to $100,000 in design costs, and a delay that would prevent the work from being done this year. So, yeah, I do defer to our senior staff on matters within their.
I mean, there was a change in this
Thank you,
one
sir.
over the weekend. How many thousands of dollars did that cost?
That was, we worked very hard, our staff worked very hard. We identified trees that we could save.
So where can we do the same thing on the northwest?
Well, actually, again, the trees on the northwest are very, very different. They are in much worse condition. They're fall risk in an area, they are large enough to fall, and falling in an area of heavy traffic, and depending on which direction they fall, potentially into recreational facilities, it creates a very, very different situation than an 8 or 10 foot, 8 or 10 inch tree, which is what we're talking about for most of the other trees.
Oh, so we have a resident wants to speak.
Would you mind?
Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
I don't care either way.
I'm so sorry. Go ahead, Bruce.
Hi, my name is Bruce Conrad Reingold. I live at 239 Glen Ellen Way. And I don't have a specific point to make, but something that I'm reminded of, something I learned 35 years ago in a history of American architecture class. There was a story about, I don't remember which architect it was, but he always made a point to never design the sidewalks and walkways until after a complete building and landscape project was completed. And this isn't specifically about sidewalks, but it's more about things that can be set aside until later to see where needs and patterns are. Where do people walk in the grass? And that's where the sidewalk goes. So maybe this can be abstractly applied to some of the concerns brought up tonight, and to table some decisions and save them to future phases of the project. That's all I wanted to share.
Thank you.
Regarding Nate's questions, one regarding the trees in the back corner.
Yeah.
And, I'm sorry, that's Clara's note.
Oh, yeah, that's Clara's.
And the impervious surface. Originally, the plan, as I understand it, would be sidewalk along the back, that police island.
Correct. Well, not really a sidewalk. It's an area, it would be hardscape,
Right.
but with the fence in the middle of it, it is not wide enough. And frankly, it really doesn't go anywhere, and you have the gate there. So that's not intended as a sidewalk. It's intended, though, as a place where a fence can be safely installed.
So that would be stone or some such, or?
Stone, concrete, I don't know the exact, but it's, as you can see, it's not much more than, it's about a 5 foot, 6 foot, I don't have the exact width, but it's a relatively narrow, and it will serve to, for the fence.
From here, if the sidewalk is 5 feet up at the north.
Well, I don't know, and I don't know exactly how wide it is.
Green space.
It's about 5 feet.
Thank you.
And the sidewalk must be 3 feet wide.
So, Mr. Svossman,
Just pointing out something
your colleagues in the room are, we're all waiting to listen to Mr. Salzman and his questions. So that's, it's, and the issue, we can look at it. We can look at what the impact would be of making it, we certainly had that discussion here over the last couple of days. But a minor change order like that isn't going to affect the timeline that the project would take. Right. Unlike the kind of changes that are being proposed in the amendment just for the North Public Safety Wing. There are significant time and cost implications of not only those changes, but the changes in the rear as well.
I'll have it done for free by Friday. Take me up, Bill.
Nate, did you have?
I'm sorry, Chris was.
I'll stamp the drawings.
Save $100,000.
We'll save you $100,000.
Well, I've been relatively quiet here because I'm allowing other people to speak and continue with what their words are. The constant interruption makes it difficult for me to make anything.
Alternative facts are hard to live with.
Go ahead, Chris. Go ahead, Chris.
You want to stare down, Chris? Go ahead.
Yeah, Bill.
Chris, why don't you just go ahead?
We know where you're voting anyway, so we're not trying to convince you.
Mr. Price,
I'll
please.
leave, because I can't take your BS anymore.
Go ahead, Chris. You're welcome to stay, Mr. Price. You are welcome to stay. Chris, come on.
You made the mistakes,
Chris.
and I've laid out the legal reasons
Chris.
you're making a mistake. You're going to cost us a lot of money, way more than $100,000.
Come on, Chris.
Councilmember Corrado and I went through the site with a map, which she brought in detail with the groundskeepers, and I asked about all these different aspects with him and why things were the way they were, shown the way they were. Councilmember Corrado had suggested some form of ornamental grasses in that area, which would allow it to be still not impermeable, and also potentially could also plant some trees in there to replace these other ones, which were fouling the police cars. I understand, I'm being told here that for some reason that is not feasible. The groundskeepers said, yes, that it is a problem with maintenance back there, and that's why some form of ornamental grass that really doesn't take maintenance itself might be utilized there to accommodate that.
And as I said, that could be the subject of a change order, but I would note that you'll remember the grass that was put in as part of the stormwater project near CVS that grew and grew far higher than anybody expected. It became an issue in terms of line of sight at an intersection. This becomes a line of sight area where you've got traffic making a turn, and the trimming that it would take would damage the fence material, which has a coating on it, would be
Understand that
damaged.
I'm not an arborist, and I'm certainly not a landscaper, but I have built many things, built buildings as well with my own hands, so I'm quite familiar with construction. But at the same time, I don't know what sort of grasses might be available, and I understand there are some. And we specifically talked about those that are out along Monroe Avenue, which take a lot of maintenance and quite expensive. And we certainly don't want to go there. But at the same time, if we can accommodate more green plants there, that would be a good change. Now, people have, the other was making some adjustments for some trees and so forth. I'm familiar with locust trees, and I know when they're going to come down to a certain extent because I've had them hit my house twice. The same thing with another tree that I had hoped that these locust trees perhaps, well, can't we just let them go and see what happens with them? They seem to be alive now, and I don't know, I'd call them thriving. However, they are right up against a number of other trees, and that's why they're leaning. So this does not look to be an ideal place for these trees. And as I say, a locust tree per se, which looked entirely healthy in my front yard, came right down on the top of my house and caused considerable damage inside the structure, inside the walls of the structure. Now, it's been pointed out to me that there's going to be children and people walking around this area headed up to the playground and the splash pad and the pool, which is where we began much of this controversy, I think. And that's risky. Well, I'm certainly sensitive to that. But can we just kind of wait to see how they go? Council says that's not a good idea.
We're now on notice, and we have a professional recommendation to remove them. You're an attorney, you know what that means.
I do. And people suggest that this is a half-baked plan, and the public hasn't had the opportunity of input. I'm sorry?
It's an exaggeration, 1/3 baked.
Well, I'm sorry?
It's 1/3 baked.
You know, sir,
Please, Chris, just please make your,
You're
please.
deliberating over something that should have been deliberated over 2 years ago.
Chris, can I ask you, please?
I'm trying to proceed
know,
here, but
I know.
I'm not used to such
Just
disrespect.
continue to, just please.
This plan has been under discussion for over 2 years, and I have served on the Public Safety Committee and on the Public Works Committee and this town board, where the comments by Mr. Price have been discussed at length, and he put them in writing, and I believe there was a letter which itemized.
September 15th, 2025.
There you are, September 15th, 2025.
That's only one of the communications.
It's 14 pages. The idea that there hasn't been any input. Now, the Public Works Department received this, and we discussed it, and it was responded to in detail as shown in this letter. Now, the idea that we're not listening and that this isn't democracy, no, it's democracy. You elect people to make a decision for you. We listen to our constituents. We don't always do what every constituent wants because there's generally controversy on difficult decisions. What we do is for the best interest of the community, in our opinion. These plans have been prepared by professionals. Other professionals have said they disagree. Well, 50 years a lawyer, I never once told a judge that he wasn't listening or she wasn't listening. You speak your piece, and now we have to make a decision here in the best interest of the town. As I said, the origin of a lot of this controversy comes when the rec department suggested that the pool was outdated and too expensive to maintain, and staff was impossible to obtain as lifeguards. We suggested it be replaced with a splash pad. And now, because of the reaction of the community to it and the resources being provided to us by the state, we said, well, okay, then we'll do both of them. But in terms of taking up green space, that pool facility takes up a huge amount of green space. The point is that it's not being removed. I don't like to see anything being removed. But the intent of the splash pad was to take its place at a lower cost and no need to have staffing there. The community came out and strongly asked that we retain the pool. Well,
we did.
There goes, what was it, $700,000 to rehabilitate the pool, with another $500 for the splash pad.
Other way around. 700 for the splash pad, 500 for the pool.
Thank you. But we're spending a lot of
And
money.
it's more than maintaining, it is making it accessible, which is, and it is what local government is supposed to do. We listened to members of the community, and in spite of the fact that our rec department has had challenges staffing, it is a very short season. Actually, one of the advantages of a splash pad is that it's a longer season. A splash pad is user activated. So on a day like today, all someone would have had to do if we had a splash pad is push the button. There's no lifeguards. The pool obviously has to be cleaned and everything else. And the lifeguards are available when school is out. It is, you're right, it's a 2-month season. The splash pad season is a lot longer. Thanks to the help we're getting, we're going to be able to do both, and I think that's
So
a great thing. Chris, Ms. Macy wants to.
Yes, ma'am.
Thanks, Chris. I respectfully disagree. I'm proud to have helped save the pool. I saw the importance, as well as over 1,000 other people in our town. The money isn't being wasted. We obtained grant money for that. Okay?
Money for the splash pad also.
Yeah, but you just said we were wasting money.
Rehabilitating a very old and inadequate pool, which maybe someday, when we finally get a community center, we might have a much more substantial pool, an adequate pool. But right now, I've talked with the rec department. In fact, I talked with them just this afternoon at a meeting, and she said the problem is that pool is not up to modern standards. We're going to spend a lot of money, but we're still going to have an old pool.
But the gunite pool has a longer lifespan than what it is.
Oh.
I did a lot of research,
I'm not a pool person.
but we're off topic, I think, a little bit.
Well,
but I know you said that you're here to represent the constituents and that, you're making a decision
The entire community, yes.
for us. But what I want to point out is I don't see many people in the room tonight getting up here and saying, I think this is a great plan, let's do it. They had an opportunity to come here. I don't see anybody doing that. There's obviously a concern here. And if there was an equal amount of people that thought this was good, they'd be here fighting for it too. And they're not. So that's just what I wanted to bring up as I was just hearing what you were trying to tell us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Can
Laura.
I say something?
Board, yes, sir, please.
Okay. I didn't plan on coming to talk about the plan, but 3 things. The first is the traffic calming measures. I live in Bonnie Bray. We attempted to get traffic calming measures on a cut-through street a number of times, and we were told by the town they don't work, and it affects snow plowing. So I'm guessing these new bigger bumps work better and are easy to plow around.
I don't know, I don't recall hearing from Bonnie Bray while.
Oh, yeah.
Can I finish, please? I don't recall getting a petition or anything from Bonnie Bray. What I will tell you is we do have speed hump guidelines, and we are happy to work with neighborhoods who are interested in speed humps. Okay. There are some challenges to them, but that's for another day.
Okay. We'll be back.
Absolutely.
We're going to hold you to that before you leave office. The other thing is, if you need some help in selecting grasses, drive by our house at Bonnie Bray, because we've got grasses that don't get over 1 foot. We've got ones that are 6 foot, and we've got ones that are 3 and 4 foot. We got them all. Talk to my wife. You have her address right there. I just feel like this is a big stonewall, and it's so frustrating. So I'll just close with my comment that please don't align yourself with the supervisor.
Hi, Ian.
Yes.
I'm getting pretty good at speaking now. You're giving me such great opportunities. I appreciate that. I can't handle this anymore. I can't sit. My knees hurt. It's really hot in here. I don't know how you aren't passing out. Christine, I am reaching out to you. I've had conversations with you, and, I just feel there's so much animosity going on, which is just terrible. I had a great conversation with Chris Warner the other day in the parking lot, because I'm one of the closest residents, and I really appreciate that the talk, and he did teach me some things that I hadn't heard about, but it's the conversation that's missing. I have faith that these people in this room don't need all that parking based on what I said, a future splash pad that's not approved. So if that extra parking could go away in this phase, minimally, the one behind the library, that would be a win. But I got to go home because I'm tired. You all must be tired. And Christine, I'm looking at you. And Chris, I think I have an idea how some other members are going to vote. Mr. Maley, I would ask you to consider not doing those 2 extra rows of paving in this phase. I don't think you're as open as the other members might be to listening to this. So this is a plea, and I'm so emotional, I feel like crying. I don't cry. I didn't cry when my dad died, for God's sakes, and I feel like crying. And it's not because of the trees. It's because of the parking. And there wasn't even a sign in front of the town hall that there was a renovation going on. There was no, when I say there's no communication, there was no sign for the geothermal. I got pretty good at explaining to the neighbors what the heck was going on over there. But if you could minimize, whatever the heck else you do, because I'm going home, I'm tapping out. Those last 2 things of parking can wait, and those trees can be further evaluated, and the police cars could maybe park against the building, I don't know. You just flip them over there, probably same number of spots, and you can keep trees and fences and grasses, and everyone can go home and have a good night. So, I'm done. That's that.
Mr. Zoglin? Sure. You need to come up to the microphone.
These are more just trying to, no such thing as a stupid question. 2, 1, in terms of the discussion of the fence, have we had problems with vandalism to police cars?
We have.
Okay, we have. So there's a reason for that.
Yes.
Oh, I just checking.
Yeah.
I hadn't heard. And the other one is.
And I'll just also say, we all know private citizens have had a lot of problems with cars parked.
Yeah, I know, but you're not building a fence.
So for all of those reasons.
You're not paying for my fence, I'm paying for yours.
No,
I get it. But the other question, in a broader sense, since I'm not a planner a lot of the discussion about the next phase and why we're doing this phase without knowing, is that typical? I mean, why don't we know what's coming next? Why wouldn't you get that proposed, written up, whatever that process is? Because it's, you don't build the first floor of your house before you do build it before you build the second, but you plan the second before you build the first. You know what you're putting up there.
And we've done a lot
how big your joist is. So why don't we have a picture of that, though? Isn't that the logical way to do it?
We have done a lot of planning. You heard some of the discussion here about the relative advantages of splash pad and pools.
Yeah, but wouldn't you want to have it drawn out? And no, you don't know. You just said you're not sure where everything's going.
Because we know what will be going there.
But not where?
Splash pad.
No, that's not what we're hearing.
Pavilion. Well, again.
Why? I just answer this directly. Why wouldn't one? It's like when an architect plans your house. He doesn't show you, a plan that just has your house and not your garage and not your yard and your other things. Where's your driveway going to go? He doesn't build your kid's playroom where the driveway is going. So why wouldn't you have the whole thing done now? And then we can all look at this and discuss it sensibly, even a layperson like myself.
So the pool is there. We know there is synergy between the pool and the other recreational facilities, 2 of which, the playground and the pavilion, were there before the project started. Obviously, both of them, the pavilion in particular, was in very bad shape. We know that the plan is for those 4 facilities to be located in the general northwest corner of a town hall. And there are some reasons. People have asked me, why aren't you building it at Buckland Park, for example? We
don't live on Sylvan.
We have infrastructure here at this location. We have a mechanical building and water infrastructure that will serve both a splash pad and a pool. This is the central, most walkable core of the town of Brighton. We know that the facilities that give it synergy, like the library, are here. At this point, we don't know where a community center will ultimately be located or what will be part of that facility. If it is at Buckland, and that is what our consultant, including Mr. Price, recommended, We will need to figure out where that goes, incorporate new water infrastructure there, new water mechanical buildings. It would cost much, much more, and at an uncertain time, to put a splash pad out there. We may well build a second splash pad.
I'm just
but
arguing,
at the
if you're planning on
current
putting stuff
time,
here, why don't you draw the whole picture?
Because, and we will be over the course of the next couple months.
But you got the cart before the horse. Why don't you get the horse there?
We are, again, there are.
I'm talking about Buckland. I'm talking about what we're doing here.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Zoglin.
Yeah. I mean, you didn't answer the question, Bill. I was trying to be
I am my
respectful.
damnedest.
Well, you didn't do a good job, sorry.
Well, someone
You didn't
else.
answer why we don't have the whole plan in place, and then these people could sit here and make comments and say, you know, because we're questioning, people, I'm not, because I don't know enough about it, but questioning where things is and where's the site. If you had the whole picture, my analogy about building your house before you had the whole architectural plan is germane to this. You got yourself ahead of yourself, and now you're paying the price.
No.
Just get it. Just get the point. Pause. Wait.
Just like you would build.
Just like you did with the assessment, man. You didn't learn a thing, Bill. And I didn't say I told you so, but now I am. And you're about to do it again. Yeah. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Dave Rizzo, 111 Seminole Way. Just some food for thought for all the board members and you, Mr. Supervisor. I've been involved with a lot of project planning and projects, multi-million-dollar projects, hundreds of millions of dollar projects. Take a pause on this. Don't ever do something because you have a timeline. Every project that I've ever been involved with where you back yourself in because you have a timeline, whether it's self-imposed or whatever, you fail and you end up wasting a lot of money. It's very clear that the other phase is not planned. There's thought, there might be some back of napkin stuff. None of us have ever seen if there's anything to this degree, right? Where the actual splash pad would be, where the new pavilion would be. I have not seen that. So to do a project, I get it, you want to do it in phases, you usually have the whole thing scoped out and say, okay, here's what we can do in this phase over this time with this money. I'm just asking you to consider to do that. Because so many people have said, we're going to be stuck holding the bag. You're going to be stuck holding the bag, right? You're going to be stuck holding the bag, and you're going to have a room twice the size of this saying, what the heck did you guys do? So that's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Thanks. Hi, I'm Megan Frame. I live at 78 Trevor Court. I also wanted to echo what was just said. I don't understand why there isn't a comprehensive plan here. It strikes me that in phase 2, the community, which this is for, is giving up green space and trees that are really, really valued, and there's no excitement or plan for what is going to replace those things that are so held dear in the moment. And I think if there could be a pause on at least paving the sections that are sort of additional because we don't know if we need the parking, letting the community weigh in on what would actually be added as amenities, and then determining if we have to lose a tree, what we're getting in exchange for that loss, I think people would be more behind it, especially if some of the decisions feel thought out with families and safety incorporated. And I trust all the recommendations that were said tonight about just things it having issues. And I feel like pushing forward because of a timeline or the paving deadline in November feels like a short-sighted decision when this is going to be with our community for the next 20 to 30 years and beyond.
And safety is very important. I agree with you. And that is one of the reasons, there's a lot of reasons that it is important to move forward with this project. None of the pedestrian infrastructure exists today. The people exist, the walkers exist, and it's very important to make sure we have that. It's very important to make sure we're in a position to have, a drainage system that works and doesn't cause potholes and all that. It is, I understand the concern, but the timing reflects a number of issues. Yes, it's important to do it from a cost perspective, but there's a lot more than cost. Mr. Castelline.
All of what you said is important, is truly important. And it's truly important to get it right. And your timeline is completely self-imposed. That complex is 2/3 occupied and functioning right now, with the parking lot as it exists right now, except with a big chunk of it fenced off for construction activity. There is no reason why you can't go back to that building when your interior renovations are complete and go back to using it while you figure out how to do this correct. Question was posed earlier, is this normal to look at things myopically, piece by tiny decision? No, it's not. It's normal to do a comprehensive plan. It's normal to have public engagement. Mr. Werner, you were saying we've been talking about this for years. You have been talking about this for years. Any other publicly funded project that's going out to bid that involves public space, public use, has at least one public engagement meeting, if not more. There has been zero. There's people in this room seeing this drawing absolutely for the first time. No, this is not the forum to have this discussion. It's bizarre to be having this discussion here, nor is the forum for this discussion at a Public Works Committee meeting in the middle of the morning. This has been undercloaked, shielded. That raised table crosswalk is 110 feet in the wrong direction. There's discussions here about the cost of not doing this now, and it might cost more to do in the future. There is a fundamental cost here of constructing all this as it is and compounding mistake after mistake and having something that exists for the next 5 decades that is not what it should be. And you noted, Mr. Supervisor, that you defer to the senior leadership inside Town Hall. I would like you, this representative body, to defer to the citizens of Brighton. There hasn't been a single person here, as pointed out, that's in favor of this. And I think the rest of the town doesn't even know that this is happening because it's not that publicly presented or publicly discussed. And it's a mistake. It's a mistake to proceed with this right now, and you don't need to do it.
Can I ask Tom a question?
I'm sure that's part of it.
I would ask if you have just take it outside.
I would like.
Take it up, Mr. Swassman, please, if you'd like to talk with him, please do so outside the.
I would like Tom to address his basis for why he would say this is not typical process. Like, why would he know?
And again, I would encourage you to have that conversation
I
outside.
would appreciate hearing the
Okay.
answer.
I want you to hear that.
Okay.
And the rest of the
I
residents.
think Serge is just wanting me to note again that I'm an architect. I've been practicing in this community for over 40 years. I would really answer your question why I know that that's not normal, because the town itself has done this. Public meetings, presenting design options, getting input, having discussion, finding out what the people think is truly important and critical, and not whether, the police cars need extra washing or the wire coating on the chain link fence that you want to get is getting cut by the weed whackers. It's bizarre. What's going on here is bizarre for the functional and symbolic heart of this town. It's strange.
Is there anyone else that would like to address the board? We are, just as a reminder, we are considering an amendment to the main motion. We can continue to have discussion, but I just wanted to make sure everybody understood the context that we're in here. Christine?
Yeah, I've been uncharacteristically quiet this evening. If my mother were watching this, she'd be shocked. Listen, I feel the frustration of the community. I understand the desire to be engaged at the very start of concepts like this, of plans like this, of projects like this. And I know that the town inadvertently bit off more than it could chew in a way, and has been making representative decisions on how to better digest what's underway, what we've taken on. And all of it, we've taken on all of it with the best of intentions, right? Nobody sat down and said, well, let's build a parking lot and put in geothermal and put in a playground without telling anybody about any of it.
We didn't do that.
No, we did not do that. So let me continue. We act on the best of intentions here. The staff acts on the best of intentions. The community expects that of us. Did we communicate it flawlessly? By no means. Did we intend to withhold anything? Absolutely not. But here we are, and we're between a rock and a hard place, and we have a tough decision to make. And I want to address something, I don't recall who said something about aligning with one member of this body or another. It's not a matter of alignments or fiefdoms, or it's not a political game that's playing out here. It is thoughtful decision-making, difficult decision-making. And I'm hearing excellent perspectives on this, excellent input, excellent micro questioning and macro questioning about this. I really appreciate Clara coming back with, I don't know if the right term is properly formatted, but a resolution or an amendment to the resolution that could be acted on. That's not a simple thing to do when you are first starting out in these roles. It takes learning and guidance to get that format right so that we can take the proper action. So I really appreciate that. And it did give clarity to what you were proposing last week. So I appreciate seeing that and understanding it. And I appreciate seeing the other take on how can we reshape this, how can we modify this so it's digestible. So at risk of going too long into the weeds, so to speak, I do want to touch on a couple things that we've already discussed. Councilmember Saltzman brought up the question of, do we need to hardscape in order to install the fence around the police cars? Councilmember Werner and I spent time out there talking with town staff. We both thought, well, all of us standing there talking about that, did come to the idea that yes, it could stay unpaved, it could be planted, and there are millions of options for low-maintenance planting. Maybe millions is an exaggeration, but there are options for low-maintenance planting that will minimize the requirements of staff to be constantly mowing and tidying, still allow sight lines, because cultivars can be selected that will grow, shorter than I am or taller than the supervisor. We can find that sweet spot in the plant world. So I think we have a potential solution there. It may not preserve the trees. And the idea that even that type of grass planting requires weed whacking, it doesn't require it. Weed whacking is one approach. There are also shears that can handle it, and it only needs to be done once or twice a season. So that's a micro comment. On the macro level, yes, if we had all three phases laid out before us all at once, I'd be a lot more comfortable about making a decision tonight, but we don't. I am positive that, so when we initially started discussing the Phase 3 portion, when it wasn't even Phase 3 yet, we did know the primary components that would be part of the recreation amenities. It was a matter of where exactly they'll go. And I am confident that there are creative professionals who can guide us in concert with input from the community on where those components will end up and how they'll communicate with the parking plan as it is, more or less here. I do see opportunities for modest changes. I appreciate it, and I don't recall which speaker suggested that the currently non-existent sidewalk at the north side of the parking lot should be wider. We can adjust plans like that. That doesn't take a massive redesign. All this to say, is at some point, we do have to make a decision, and I worry that if we hold off even further, we're going to be in more of a quagmire than we are at the moment. But I guess the bottom line of what I am trying to convey is that none of this was done with an intention of withholding anything. We are all sitting here trying to achieve the same thing the community is trying to achieve, a solution that finds that sweet spot in between the best ever and what will meet the needs. So I'm losing my eloquence. We've reached this point in the night where I think we would all like to see some movement forward on something here. So I'll stop there.
So I want to thank you, Christine, for those comments. And I think we got a bit off track when we were trying to cover all the issues with the sidewalk. Again, I mentioned on Wednesday, it's not a perfect design, so I was trying to find a compromise. The 3 amendments I have mentioned, and I have to thank the attorney for the town to helping me put them in, formal language, would not delay the project. It would actually save us money while saving the trees. And I have to remind us that we can always add more parking later. There's no need right now, no parking study, no recreational amenity that will drive us to pave over the northwest of the parking lot. We can always do it in Phase 3. We don't have to do it right now. If anything, that'll help us to finish the site work earlier. So I want us to just be flexible enough to know that the amendments I'm proposing will not delay the project. So if that's a concern, please have the peace of mind that that will not happen. Again, there's a lot of moving parts that I also agree should be revised for Phase 3, but for now, preserving this green space and trees will not affect the flow of traffic, will not affect the timing of the project. If anything, it will save us money.
Or isn't there, my understanding is that there's below-ground drainage plan that would be impacted if you don't do the entire thing. It would all have to be redone. Maybe I'll direct this to Glenn.
Yeah, according, the design as is based upon this current layout. So if you went back to this layout right here, which is the current layout, which you're proposing, keeping the 45-degree turn and then repaving and then working this thing, everything in this is like the end of the line where everything feeds back into everything to the back of the property. So if you change back to this, you have to go back, redesign the catch basins, the drainage, the piping, and everything in this area here has impacts to all the piping that goes back to this building here. So it's not a simple, easy, we're just going to go and keep this 45-degree turn. It has to be redesigned, stormwater flows have to be recalculated, and how everything it connects to the follow-on piping to the back of the property all has to be redesigned and changed. It's not a simple one-day charrette, 5-day redesign in someone's.
What about in the rear of the northwest?
Well, let's
Yeah, Glenn, can I ask you a specific question? I'm sorry, Chris, about exactly this corner we were just talking about? So my understanding was that Clara's amendment is the goal is, and Councilmember Sanguinetti, please correct me if I'm wrong, is to preserve those trees, which the supervisor's proposal would do anyway.
Yeah, so if we.
Right?
If we
Correct.
did.
Okay, okay.
If we kept this right here and just eliminating 2 parking spaces right there, that would save those trees here, and then we would just have to have the contractor not use heavy equipment in this area, so it might be hand digging to protect the roots.
Yep.
And then try to get the root system down a little bit below grade of where the sub-base is going to be.
But it sounds like there's not disagreement amongst the
Well,
board
and that
on
would be
section.
at something close to a net zero cost. And in the memorandum that we all have in our packets, based on the town engineer's discussion with EDR, the cost of the magnitude of the change that is being proposed by the amendment would cost several months and somewhere close to $100,000.
Oh, so on that corner?
Yes. That's that corner.
It would be for all of the proposed changes that were in the amendment.
That's that corner.
Okay, so I was confused. My understanding is that Clara's proposal.
That corner.
It was inclusive.
No, it's in the segment of the letter that relates to that corner. The anticipated cost is close to $90,000 for that area.
Because I think the intent of Councilmember Sanguinetti's amendment was to preserve those trees, which Supervisor, you emailed us yesterday, and make the amendment to preserve those trees. So I read that as, well, there's consensus on that corner.
And that was after work by the town engineer, meeting with the EDR consultant on that corner specifically and developing that alternative approach, yes.
Okay. So we have, okay.
The other.
I'm sorry to interrupt, Chris.
The other portions don't avail themselves of such an easy solution.
Correct, right.
The northwest corner, is that part of a comprehensive drainage plan as well?
There is one main pipe that goes through the center here, and so all the drains feed down into that center pipe that go along through here. So basically, you'd be cutting off basically we'd have to eliminate the piping that goes in here and reassess where the flows. I don't have the.
And redesign.
Yeah.
So the idea of doing it in stages, is that feasible?
Probably, pretty much no, because the piping here is designed based upon the flow for the overall drainage for this section of the property here. So if you eliminate this, so if you draw the curve here, and then you put the curbing to where it is now and follow through the existing area. So I believe the island comes to about. So it comes down here, so it's probably about right here, where it previously was. All this will no longer be here. So then if you go back to try to do this section after the fact, as part of a phase 3, you're basically going to have to you've got to redo the design here based upon the limited scope. Then you'd have to go back and redo all that design for the extra capacity if we went back and added this parking in as part of a phase 3.
But right now, you could throw topsoil and grass seed and be, right?
No, you would
Not
have
for
to.
the current design. And then eliminating.
No, not for the current design. As it stands right now, when you go walk the area.
Yep.
That's where the wells are. Correct?
The geothermal wells are right in here. They're about
Exactly.
5
So-
feet below grade, 4 or 5 feet
If you were to
below
throw
grade.
topsoil, graded, put seed, water it, instead of having to throw asphalt.
We would have to redesign the stormwater design in this area right here.
Okay. And
So you-
EDR said how much longer would that take them to do that?
August.
To do?
For all the proposed plan, all the proposed, three proposals that you provided as an amendment at the last board meeting, based upon their timing, their workload, and the reviews, it would take into August before we would have something for the town to be able to review.
Can I say something that's fairly just occurred to me? We do this all the time in architecture. If there's a phase forward, we plan for that, so we oversize the pipe. Can't you use that same pipe and reduce the parking? And then in the future, you don't have to do anything else but add parking. As a simple solution to not have, you don't have to involve an engineer, you have to do anything else. You just eliminate that section of parking, oversize the pipe, keep the drainage the way it is today. Boom, done. You saved whatever, hopefully at least $100,000 of design fees in paving.
We heard someone say at the last meeting they could do everything in 5 days, and we've heard now from our commissioner and from our design team that it would take 2 months. I don't want to impugn, but I'm going to have to provide some additional information. There was some information provided earlier about an engineer who did a drive-through. And I think we probably all read it. He described it as a windshield drive-by. I think it was a windshield something. He looked out his window. He did it at 10:30 in the morning, on a Thursday morning, I believe, in May. Now, why is that important beyond just the fact that he just looked out his window? Court is not in session on Thursday morning, in May or in any other month. The pool, the splash pad are not open. The library did not have any special programs going on that day. That time, and obviously, of course, the building itself with all of the, not only staff, but people who come and go, particularly, for example, at tax season, weren't in the building. You can't take that kind of a snapshot and conclude that that's all the parking you need. And that is what that in.
They sent us to show you how many parking spots you had, not the use in that parking lot.
That is what that individual, who is an engineer, and I'm not going to say his name, but he did disclose that all he did was look out the window at that time of day. But that does not reflect the needs. I will tell you, the library in particular, you know, Nate, as the liaison to the library board, we have heard passionately from the library the importance of maintaining the drive-through book drop. We have also heard passionately the importance that there are times of the day and times of the year when they do not have enough parking spaces. We've looked at various configurations, and they feel very strongly right now that there are times they can't schedule events, for example, when court is in session. It's very hard for them to schedule events in the summertime in the afternoon when the pool is busy. We do have a structural shortfall. And the one other thing I would note, we will have gone, and I think I'm correct on the numbers here, we will have gone from 8 handicapped spaces to about 20 handicapped spaces on the site. And every handicapped space is at least a space and a half. So when we add those 12 handicap spaces, we are really adding the equivalent of about 20 spaces. So when you add those 20 spaces and you look at the approximately 20 spaces that are in the northwest corner there that are being proposed to be eliminated, and we took 2 more out of the southeast corner, There is actually almost, and parking spaces in that notch that comes in, which will now only be for deliveries, but which has a number of spaces now. The net number of spaces open to the general public is basically almost staying the same.
Mr. Supervisor, can I ask,
Can I just say one more thing? I'm sorry. I don't want to ruin but I want to be accurate and not misrepresent Greg McMahon, who did this. He did this base plan. He's an expert civil engineer, surveyor, and he did this parking study only to show you what existing parking is available. You have not done a parking study, so you can't even justify those extra spots that you are proposing are so necessary that you can't do them in phase 3 when you figure out what your amenities are.
Mr.
I'm sorry.
With all
Provide
due
that.
respect, I do respect Mr. McMahon. He would not. He was very honest in describing what he had done. It was a windshield survey.
I'm not talking about that. I'm asking for a parking study to validate the need for all that extra parking that's going to take away that existing green space forever.
Okay.
my question was, I understand that there may be limitations about making an amendment to the northwest corner because of the explanation that Glenn just gave. Within Phase 3, is it within the scope of Phase 3 to consider additional, I'm not saying that folks would want additional parking, but is it within the scope of Phase 3 to consider additional parking on some place on Town Hall campus if we so determine that we need some?
Not from my perspective. I mean, I certainly have no intention of suggesting that. I think we had a good discussion early on because we know the northeast side can be tough too. Mm-hmm. But it was very clear when we conceptually talked about blocking out some area there that it was a bad idea given the size, the health, and the importance of those trees as a barrier. So no, Phase 3 will be the 4 recreation, pool, splash pad, pavilion, and playground in the west corner of the site up there. You know, they have the specific, other than the pool, but we know that they are going to be in the northwest part of the property. And really, the only other component of Phase 3, and you know, after a lot of discussion, including, you know, this body and our committees, was the concept of considering a bypass trail along the west side of the property. And that we moved to, if it would be considered at all, to Phase 3. So no, I do not anticipate any additional parking to be planned in Phase 3.
What I'm seeing is that I don't think it's feasible to cut off, Clara, a section of it for construction later. The other alternative that's been suggested here is do nothing and fill the potholes and move back in. Those are the two alternatives. And
not address safety, and not address police security, and not address the recreation needs of the. So those are all of the.
Those are the two alternatives.
Those are the sacrifices that would be made. I'm sorry, Nate, you had.
No, that was my question. Thank you.
Is there any other discussion for the board? Then we have an amendment on the floor, and if there is no further discussion, then we will have a vote on the amendment. We have all seen that amendment. I don't, the substance of it would remove parking in the northwest corner of the lot and preserve those two trees.
In the green space,
Well, and convert it into green space
which used to be
for
green
now.
space. It used to be green space.
And eliminate and go back to the pre-existing configuration on the southeast side of the parcel, which would not have any net impact on trees at this point, but would have a significant cost and delay.
Mr. Supervisor, can I pause there for a moment? Councilmember Sanguinetti, I believe that the intent was just around the green space and trees. Would you, you know, and you tell me if this is not conventional, not allowed, but consider lining your amendment up so with the proposal on the table here so we can avoid that delay and that cost? Because I believe that fulfills your intent, am I correct?
Say that again?
I believe that your intent was just to save the trees and the green space, and if both proposals do that.
They don't.
On the southeast corner only, I'm sorry.
Okay, so and the third piece would be to eliminate the security fence and tree removal around the police parking lot.
No, wait, no, that's not.
Okay, then
That's incorrect.
please.
My proposal was to keep that as green space with the trees, not to not have the fence. The fence can go south of the perimeter so that the police can still keep their parking there, they can have their fence, but instead of having it with asphalt, just preserving the green space with the trees.
I would note that Chief Cathaldi's testimony at the last meeting was that given the size of the gate and the fencing material, that moving the fence south would not be a viable and would require them to incur significant additional cost, whether or not it was done with hardscape or green space there.
And can I interject that Councilmember Sanguinetti's proposed amendment does not specify moving the location of the fence. It specifies directing the designer to explore options for a fence around the lot that doesn't require removing green space or trees. So it's not
That's all right.
currently up. The question is not moving the fence. The question is the surface that the fence will be.
And we don't have, we can move forward with the bid that's on the table and consider that area as a potential change order. I think one, you know, again, and I know some people don't want to hear about a timeline, but we have 60 days. The bids were received on May 4th. If the bids are not accepted by the town by July 4th, we will have to go back out to bid. Our design consultant at EDR, his statement was that if we made the changes that are being proposed in the southeast corner, we would have to redesign and go back out to bid. And I believe his feeling is the same, although I'm not, I'll just leave it at that. So we are at a point, and I know it's frustrating to hear, but that's the nature of construction, that we do have time commitments that we have to meet, and making significant design changes will make it based not just on me, based on what EDR advised us, it will not be possible to accept this bid, and we will have to go back out to bid, which will again take quite some period of time, pushing us even farther and frankly probably making it questionable whether we will even begin, much less end, the site work during 2026.
Bill, if I might, the suggestion that there's two alternatives: reoccupy with some potholes patched. And so what happens now? Let's look at the absurdity of that. Let's look at the absurdity of that. What are we going to do with the parking of the people working in that building when Phase 2 is undertaken? Where are they going to park?
The same thing that the staff is going to have to do already, because you're going to have to repave the following year, and everybody's going to be fully occupied.
What, to put on a top coat?
Yeah, we'll be able to surge.
You've got
couple of days.
The police department, you've got the library, you've got the courts that are occupying that building today are going to be inconvenienced by
The top coat is something, unlike all of these other components, does not require redesigning.
It's an inconvenience.
It is an inconvenience, nothing more, nothing less.
But to excavate
It can be done on a long
the entire
weekend.
site and put in the drainage?
You wouldn't do everything at once. You phase it so that people can move around the building and use parking in different areas. It's so logical.
Actually, that is exactly how our bid specifications anticipate, but it also anticipates doing it in a timeline where we accept a bid before July 4th. If we do not, we will have to go back and wind up not accepting bids in all likelihood until the end of summer. And then we will not be in a position to start the important site work because we will have exposed drainage and a parking lot that will not be habitable, not just, not just through the winter of 26, 27, but into 27 as work is underway. Is there any further discussion? Then Dan, please call the roll on the amendment to the, sure.
Hi. Serge and I were just talking. So the planning board would look at a site plan like this for the expansion of parking, and without a parking study done, we would never be able to move this project forward. So it's just confusing how we're going to move forward without that study in place. But the planning board, there's nothing can ever get through without that done.
Thank you.
I actually have a question about what you're defining as the critical work or the important work, which I thought was the asbestos removal and the geothermal conversion, not the rest of it.
I'm sorry, Lisa, you weren't here at the beginning of the meeting when I walked through the entire project, which I do think it's important to note was reviewed under the State Environmental Quality Review Act. The project started, yes, with the work on the building, approximately 4 months of asbestos abatement. Since that time, Milestone and the other general contractors, municipal contracting is kind of funny. You don't have a single prime with a bunch of subcontractors. You have a number of individual general contractors, which makes coordination more of a challenge, and you have to provide means for doing that. But they have been working, and they're continuing to work, getting quite close now to the end of the interior work. And it's for that reason, and to ensure that we can make a seamless transition from the interior work to the exterior site work, that we are looking to We went out to bid earlier this spring. We got the bids. They were reviewed by town staff. And we have critical site work, including drainage and pedestrian safety improvements, and parking and reconfiguration of the parking and driveway facilities. And that is what is coming in this second, the site work component of the project.
I'd like to echo what other people have said here, which is if these are bad contracts, it's a self-imposed timeline just to go forward with this doesn't make any sense. If there's time to review the contract, to make amendments and review, and then if the contracts are still not what we need, if the bids are still not what we need, we can start over. Right now, everybody is already inconvenienced by the work anyway. A little bit longer, we'll deal with it. We will be able to deal with it. I'd also like to comment that there was not public input about the police fence that just showed up, so a lot of the concerns that the library had, you're already restricted because you cannot drive straight through the way you used to, which is a big change. And finally, I would like to address that the pool should not be brought up anymore. We had 1,100 signatures on the petition. We got state grants for it. It should be closed. There should be no more discussion about the pool. We want it, we have it, we can do it. It's regardless of the splash pad, it's regardless of any of the other work, but the pool has, we had public opinion that said they wanted a pool, and we got the state grant for it. That should be the end of the matter.
Thank you, Mrs. Feibush. Is there any more discussion on the amendment to the main motion?
I'll just say this. I just asked Dan to look at his laptop, and my understanding of the amendment, Councilmember Sanguinetti's amendment, is just to restore the green space and trees. So in my mind, that would make, Supervisor, your proposal, I think that would match up. So it wouldn't require an extra design or to go out the bid, just based on that southeast corner plot.
Well, it's based on much more than just the southeast corner, and
yes, it is.
And it's not at all clear to me what the amendments plan for the southeast corner, but it's not the plan that is up there. It would also make dramatic change in the northwest corner and leave a town hall with less net general parking than we have today, as well as 2 trees that we know, based on notice from our arborist, are a liability risk, and who knows what we're going to do next with respect to the security of police vehicles. If we don't move forward with the project, we can't just plug in the fence because we'll be taking it out to do the rest of the work. We can only move forward with the police security work, which is what we heard Chief Cathaldi come in and ask us to do, if we move forward with the rest of the project. So we can't simply pick and choose.
And to clarify, I don't know if the rest of the council has the attorneys to the town, John Mancuso, emailed you all, so you can see it. So by no means I'm saying that I'm suggesting to not have a fence. I'm saying to work around the green space and the trees we already have to have that fence. So that's number one. And number two, we have not justified adding more parking. So to repeat what I said before, we can always add it later if it's necessary, as part of phase 3, once we know what the community wants for our recreational amenities. So for the 3 amendments that I proposed, again, I'm not saying not to have a fence, and for part 1, which is the library, north of the library, northwest of the site work, What I added was that if the arborist and the conservation board deem those 2 locust trees as unsafe, you can still go ahead and remove them, replace them with 4 new trees. But the arborist did not say that we need to take the trees down and put in more asphalt. He just said the trees should be removed. So the proposal is to keep that as green space, which is now would only require topsoil and seed, some grading, but does not say that the trees cannot be removed. I said if the arborist and conservation board determine the 2 trees are hazardous, replace them with 4 new trees. The most important part there is just preserving that green space that would go away if we put down asphalt for parking that we have yet to prove we need.
If there's nothing more, I'll ask the clerk again. This is on the amendment. Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Werner?
This is on the amendment.
This is on the amendment.
Nay.
Councilmember Corrado?
I will say I wish I could pick and choose amongst the 3 points that you have included. But because I can't, because I am in support of the Police Station Island recommendation, I'm in support of the modification to the southeast corner. I'm struggling with the holding back on paving and all of the implications that it would have with the library, with the field where the geothermal is right now. And because of that, I have to vote nay.
Councilmember Salzman?
Aye.
Councilmember Sanguinetti?
Aye.
Supervisor Mann?
No. We will now go to the main motion.
Mr. Supervisor, do you mind, just one question, and please interrupt me if I am putting words in anyone's mouth here. It sounds to me like there may be more consensus on that island near the police parking lot. And if, my question to you, Supervisor, is if you would be willing to include that amendment into this motion so that we have agreement on the southeast corner, we have agreement on the preserving of green space, and to be determined what the grass looks like. Christine would know more than I do about what type of grass should go there. To add those two, well, you already added one, but to add the second piece into this motion as written.
Well, you can make
And the reason,
your own motion now.
I mean, I will tell you why I do not believe that will work, because we will, although we can do it as a change order to the contract, if we award the contract, but we are not going to have sufficient information to be able to award, to make those design changes before July 4th, and we cannot do that work if we don't move forward with Phase 2. So I'm prepared to commit to working with the police department, with our facilities people, to examine opportunities for a change order there to make that space less hardscape and more greenscape. But if we don't commit to this contract and thereby commit to moving, to having a secure police lot, we will not be able to do that. So I am prepared to work in good faith to work out any small change orders as it relates to that issue, but it's too important to put off the contract, and then who knows what comes next. So I would not support an amendment that would, take that out.
I would like to thank you, Christine, for that clarification. So I would like to propose an amendment. So on the document that the attorney to the town emailed you, to have the amendment number 1, the library's geothermal field area as written. And then
The word,
In the number 1, in other words, so there's no parking, no recreational facilities, and no.
no.
Well, yes, because.
No, you all have the text, so I don't want you to misconstrue what's written in front of you. So the amendment would include topic number 1, which is the library geothermal field area. Eliminate the proposed parking expansion northwest of the library and restore the area to green space, preserving the mature trees. If the arborist and conservation board determine that 2 trees are hazardous, replace them with 4 new trees. Then, for topic number 2, discussing what can be done to ensure that there's a fence, that the police department has the security they need for their supervisor, I'm speaking, sorry, to give more flexibility so that the designers can, do their job, but while maintaining what the police, with the Chief Catholdi and the police department had requested. And then for the southeast, which I believe we all agree, and Town Court Elmwood parking area, resurface the existing parking lot in its current layout rather than expanding it while preserving the mature trees. This still allows the Elmwood Avenue access drive to be widened. So I want to accommodate Councilmember Corrado's concerns by amending my amendment. So I would need a second.
Clara.
I'm sorry,
So it would be topic 1, which is the library geothermal field area.
and you
Topic
wrote that
2.
out as written.
As written, and topic number 2 as written. And then for the 3rd, for the police station island, just to encourage our designers to find a workaround to make sure that we can keep the fence and the security they need while trying for some sort of green space around it, if feasible. But for number 1 and number 2 to stay as written.
You misunderstood my concern.
Your concern was not about the police station?
2 and 3, I'm in agreement with. After listening to the engineering implications of not paving, of not finishing that northwest corner of parking as designed, pending, minor change order, whatever. But the follow-on implications of impact to drainage flows, the reconfiguring that would have to happen to, to appropriately accommodate traffic flow if it is not finished out. The follow-on complications just end up creating more, if this, then that is going to happen, that will have to change, this will have to change as we go down further with the
Christine,
drainage.
I don't mean to interrupt you. I believe that the short,
As I'd like to.
no, the short version, well, we've been here for a long time. The short version was, and please tell me if I'm misinterpreting you, that of the 3, you were most likely to consider number 3 as an amendment, not, you didn't want to reopen the conversation on issue 1.
Issue 1 is the one after hearing all of the input,
Issue 1 being the northwest corner.
correct.
Yeah.
And items 2 and 3, absolutely fine. The
Right.
supervisor's version of 3 or Councilmember Sanguinetti's version of 3.
Right.
Either one is, they're roughly equivalent.
So they're not. And I will wait and tell you because we're waiting to see I don't know whether we really even have an amendment on the floor. It has not been clearly articulated to me as to what the amendment would be. But I will give deference if Councilmember Sanguinetti can articulate an actual amendment. But at some point, if we don't have that, we have a main motion on the floor, and I will articulate the very significant difference between the two versions of the southeast corner of the building.
Yeah, and I have to say, there's no second to clarify. As I was proposing, I had, and I apologize, I misheard Councilmember Corrado. I thought her concern was around the police station island until Supervisor Maley was speaking to her while I was trying to speak. So after that, I don't know what happened after that brief conversation, but I take my amendment back, given that I misheard Councilmember Corrado's concern.
I would like to propose an amendment here, and I'm going to do my best to make this clear. I would like to propose that we direct the designer, basically number 3 of Clara's proposal. We direct the designer to explore options for the fence around the police parking lot that does not require removing green space.
Is there a second to that?
Second.
You can tell I don't have one.
It's not, so, again, I will note, that is not something that will be able to be completed. Nobody here can say that that will be completed in time to accept this bid and make a change order to it. What I am prepared to do, but not with these other barnacles attached to it, I will say again what I'm prepared to do. I am prepared to, if the town board goes forward and accepts and authorizes this bid, to work in good faith to develop a change order that would try to address adding green space in that area. But if we don't do it in the context of accepting the bid, there is a serious risk that we will not be able to make that design change with everything else going on in time to go back and accept the bid. And I'm also afraid that, frankly, because I keep hearing, you know, this change, that change, maybe this works, maybe that works. We have what council and our design team has told us is a bid with an amendment that will save 3 more trees, not require rebidding, reduce 2 parking spaces, and preserve some terrific traffic calming measures that are all in jeopardy if we don't act on the bid tonight.
Well, and Mr. Supervisor, I want to say that the team, yourself and town staff did, I think, an excellent job redesigning the southeast corner on a very tight time window. I think a design that's significantly more complicated than the proposed amendment just focused on directing the designer to, instead of having pavement or concrete, replace that with green space, not a specific tree or even a tree, but just green space to be determined. I would also argue it's such a small change. It's such a small change that the fact that this would put the bid in jeopardy, I can't square that change would put the bid in.
It puts the bid in jeopardy because of the timeline.
And I would say this, we are voting on that amendment as a precursor to voting on the bid to be approved. So it wouldn't require, we had the previous change, which I think was more complicated and required, I'm sure, a ton of staff work to get this done in 5 days. I don't believe this would even require a 5-day redesign.
Well, I'll tell you why it would, because again, it's, we're playing the switcheroo game here. If this were only about that little piece of hardscape, I'd agree with you. But what is also in that amendment is to eliminate the well-thought-out plan for the northwest side
Oh, I'm sorry,
parcel.
not the current amendment on the table. The previous amendment that was voted down, that's true, but the amendment that's on the table this moment, the only change that's on the table at this moment, Mr. Supervisor, is that strip of green space right there. Yes, thanks, Scott.
So Nate, because I had understood that the amendment was to a version of the resolution, was to the amended version rather than.
I understand. Yeah, okay, I'm sorry. I see what you're saying, Supervisor.
So are you?
No, I'm sorry.
You are saying that the Northwest.
I'm saying the amendment that I am proposing is not an amendment on top of Clara's amendment. It's an amendment to your proposal.
And it's not on top of her original amendment.
Correct. Yes, sir.
Here's what I'm willing to think about.
Yep.
If the board votes first to accept the main motion, to approve the main motion, and then votes to consider a change order to that main motion, that will be limited to a consideration of adding green space in that area. But I'm very concerned because I keep seeing motions going back and forth. We have a main motion. Once we have approved that main motion and are ready to award this bid, that gives us a lot of flexibility to try to, I mean, again, I will tell you, and you know my word is absolutely that if this main motion is approved, we will work to develop a change order to try to make that island greener while still including the necessary security fence and gate. So if you're prepared to take a vote on the main motion, I'm prepared to commit to work starting tomorrow. No, because I'm going to be gone tomorrow. But starting this week, to move on a change order to examine the what kind of low maintenance green can go in there, and see how we can do it in a way that doesn't. But I keep seeing this creep, so it's really important so that we know that we're moving forward with this project to accept the main motion first.
And let me tell you, speaking for myself, I have no other amendments planned, prepared. I think we came in tonight with three major points to talk about, the southeast corner, northwest, and the police island, and I think we've covered all of them now. And Mr. Supervisor, I'm not questioning your word, but I think in the interest of the 8 hours of public debate we've had now on camera in front of what was two days of packed houses, I think that because your stated intention is to work to find this solution. We had Chris and Christine were out there themselves suggesting things, something along these lines. Because Claire's original amendment included this spirit, I thought that it could be a good show of public faith as well. Not just to say, we will do this, but to vote on this and walk away from tonight with the project moving forward with two major amendments from the original proposal.
But the problem is we don't know whether the project will be moving forward. We know that, and again, I'm prepared to make that green space commitment and commit that we won't take those 3 trees down without having further, as part of having a fence either determining that we can put up a fence without taking them down, or, and I hope this isn't the case, that we can only put up a fence with the hardscape. Given the dynamic, I cannot, without knowing, because I just don't want to be flailing, and if we can't do it, we will have done exactly what my fear has been all along. We need to be able to sign a contract, hold off on taking down any trees until we've made that good faith effort.
I do
add green space to that space. And again, my word is my commitment.
And I'm not questioning
to do
your
that. And I know you're not.
Yeah.
But what I can't control, if we haven't signed that contract, I can't control that it will happen by July 1st, whether it's because other people want to make amendments or we discover we can't do it in that time frame, and now we have to go back and get further town board action. I believe, for all of the reasons we've been discussing, it is, and frankly, it concerns me just that you're not willing to commit to that contract.
Oh, no, that's...
I would ask that you join in so that we can assure the police department of security and assure the people that we're going to be in a position to move forward and consider a neighborhood scale phase 3, so we don't have to keep answering people, why don't we have a playground? And we can do that if tonight we take action on this main motion with a commitment to do the same for the police fenced in field. And if that works for you, I think we're going to have a good vote tonight.
Can I, at risk of overextending everyone's patience, can I ask for one additional commitment? That we begin as speedily as possible to engage the public on phase 3 in as open and interactive and collaborative manner possible.
Absolutely.
If that means we start immediately, like Glenn's team does not need more to do at the moment, but...
We do anticipate, we have a plan for doing that with a firm that has done recreational planning, including public input, and absolutely, I want to start that
and we
as soon as
start
we can. But we can't
Agreed.
if we don't know where we're going as a project.
But
we really can't do that.
I do think this small amendment, I do mean small, which is phrased in a way that gives the town team, a lot of flexibility. Phrased as a way, to direct, to find a way to keep a green space.
But there's a risk.
Gives a lot, and even...
Unless we sign the general contract tonight, unless we commit to that, it's a pig in a poke, and we will not know where we're going forward. I agree with you, Nate. I would like to see that, make every effort to make that area more green, recognizing that it's not as easy as we saw what happened on Monroe Avenue when we put in grass that turned out to be dangerous. I want to work with good landscape professionals to see how we can do that in the context of a contract that we've agreed to, and I absolutely want to start moving forward with the public input component of Phase 3 as soon as we possibly can. So if you're willing to take the vote on the main motion first, then we're good to go ahead, and that's the motion that's on the floor right now.
Actually, Supervisor, Councilmember Salzman made that motion, and Christine had seconded his. Now, I don't know if it's a fully baked. I can't speak to that, but
I
it
don't
did
know
have a
yet.
move in
Again,
it.
I don't know what the amendment is, but I'm just saying.
And then I do fully intend to vote, to take this vote next. I only hesitate, Mr. Supervisor, just and maybe this is the old government nerd in me, the semantics of, we will vote on this, and then I promise to. But, I showed up tonight to vote on this bid. That's why we're all still here.
You and I have been through a bit together.
Sure.
And I'm looking you in the eye and telling you what I'm going to do. And I'm looking Councilmember Corrado in the eye and telling her what we are going to do. We don't have that certainty. We can't move forward on Phase 3 if we don't have an underlying contract. So when I'm looking you in the eye, that's the expectation. When I'm looking you in the eye and telling you what I am going to do, I can't make that commitment if we haven't authorized entering into the prime contract.
Well, and I know we're going to be voting on that.
But
I think that this change,
the order that we do it
significantly
matters.
under.
The order that we do it matters.
I'm not seeing how we can add these amendments and accept a bid. We don't have.
We don't know that yet because we don't know what the change order will look
The
like.
attorney to the town wrote it as a way that it would be, directing the supervisor to execute necessary change orders.
And Councilmember Sanguinetti, the attorney to the town also specifically declined to be able to give his opinion that we wouldn't have to rebid the whole project if your amendment passed.
I'm just
And
saying
let me
how he
finish.
wrote it.
Let me finish.
You interrupted me. I'm just clarifying
And
from point of order, clarification.
I'm just telling you what the attorney to the town and what EDR said, that both of them believed that your amendment would have required going back out to bid. I don't think this is going to require us to go back out to bid. But what I'm saying is the only way we can guarantee that
Where's that
is,
information?
the only way we can guarantee that is if we first vote to authorize this agreement. If we don't do that first, a bunch of things can happen. One, we may not be able to come up with a change order, or two, one of our colleagues might try to fasten on additional amendments to the contract. I'm looking you in the eye and giving you my word that if we can do the most important, and we've got Officer Ciceri, who's been here all night tonight.
Right.
I think he wants to know that we're committed to signing a contract tonight that allows us to put that fence in. If we sign this contract tonight, we know if we don't, then it's a crapshoot.
I think that's very strong language to use for an amendment that would just direct the team to find a way to preserve greens. It doesn't say preserve trees. It doesn't say what kind of grass.
It also doesn't say that.
It took 5 days for the town team to come up with a really, I think, a complicated change, and I give them a ton of credit. 5 days to come up with that change. I'm sure that.
And it also doesn't say we've got a contract in place. So you're looking at me now and you're telling me you don't believe me. And you're telling me right now.
Bill, I didn't say that. You're making this personal, and I'm really trying to focus it. I'm not saying these insults that you're trying to put in my mouth.
What I'm trying to do is commit that we have an agreement in place, because if we don't have that agreement in place, I'm not going to be able to look Brian Ciceri in the eye and tell him we made his parking lot safe.
If the whole agreement goes up in smoke because of this amendment, then go ahead and embarrass me all you want on the next town board meeting. But I'll take that bet with you, because I think with this small amendment, the contract still gets signed. And if I'm wrong, I'll stand up there and I'll do a big, I'm sorry, I was wrong, you were right.
And we won't have to.
Well, let's take that bet. That's my word to you.
We won't have to run that risk because other amendments could sneak in. Lots of things could happen. we have the opportunity tonight, we have a contract that I believe we're ready to sign, and we're ready to make the changes that we need to make sure that we have a prompt Phase 3, because we're not going to be able to do it until we have a contract. So we can't even begin to think about Phase 3 until we know we're doing Phase 2. And if we don't take action tonight, we're not going to know at the very earliest that we're going to be doing Phase 3 until sometime in June, best case scenario. And even then, until a contract is authorized, I've got to be honest, Nate, I don't understand why you would not agree to authorizing, awarding this bid so we know we're moving forward, as opposed to maybe we'll move forward, but let's talk about this little piece of concrete first. I really think we need to authorize this contract, authorize the award of the bid, and then we know where we're going, and we're going to go there together.
Can the resolution just continue on after accepting the bid and direct the supervisor to pursue those two items? By order of the town,
Two items.
the two items being Police Island and the southeast.
Well, the
That's
southeast,
already in.
it's already in there.
Southeast is in. We've planned it. We've got a solution. Kudos to Ken Hurley,
Right.
who spent literally the last
All right, then
4
that's already
days
included.
making it
This
happen.
is one of the three items that have been itemized here.
And that's one of the other reasons. Staff has spent a lot of time getting to that point. I think we owe it to ourselves to commit that we're going to be able to go forward, because until we do, we're going to be wishing and hoping.
This is where I don't understand, because the staff and I give you credit. You made a major compromise here, and the staff worked around the clock to make a major redesign happen in 5 days.
Correct.
And it's here tonight. It's ready for us to vote. And I'm looking forward to Dan calling that vote so we can all get to bed.
Okay.
But
all you have to do is withdraw your amendment.
But this small little amendment is significantly less work and puts our signing the contract in significantly less jeopardy than the compromise we've already put down here on paper.
We don't know that. We didn't know what the southeast corner was going to look like. We don't know what's going to be involved in finding the right growing materials, finding something that isn't going to grow too much, too little, and determining that we have it all in place, and by the way, get this company to agree to it before the 4th of July. Because if we don't, the whole thing blows up. So what I don't get, that's a clock we can stop. We can stop the clock that's running through till July 4th. We can stop it tonight by authorizing the award of this bid. And that will give us more than July 4th. And it will give staff and colleagues on the town board who are committed to you and to the community and to the police department to make it all happen. We can't make those promises unless we stop the clock.
May I ask a question about construction standards for fencing? Sorry to put you on the spot, Glenn. If the, caffeine at this hour? Oh,
And a Snickers bar.
But, so my question is there a substantial difference in the stability of fencing if it is installed in a concrete island versus the maintained green space? And is there a remedy if it is more stable in the concrete island than installing it in the same way in the green space? Is there a remedy to make it more stable? Is that a sticking point here? Is that part of
The
why
fence itself
it's designed it this way?
The fence itself, the stability is how deep those posts go down into the ground and what they're set in. So if you set the posts in concrete 4 feet down, but it could be just
You could surround it with.
a circular pile.
Yeah.
And we could do, I mean, I know the where it's drawn right now is it says reuse existing granite curbing. Well, if we went and made green space in there, the granite curbing goes away. We'd go and put concrete curbing around there. So if you take one example of where security fencing has been introduced with plantings, go look at the federal building. Go to the north side of the fence and the south side of the fence. The south side close to, I think, was the Wyndham now. They've got the fencing, they've got the concrete curbing with some mulch underneath there with plantings in there. And they've got plantings of small bushes or small, like probably no more than 1.5 feet, 2 feet tall, which is put in there. So it's not, but it's mulched, so nothing's growing up.
But that's a lot wider area.
Yeah.
And you have a lot more flexibility. Here, we have the gate, we know the size, we know the material we're working with, and we know it's a very small area with a gate that has to be very precise within a very limited range.
Yeah, and the gate,
we don't have that flexibility.
The fencing can't come forward towards the building because the gate itself, the opening, there's only a 6-inch gap to play with there. So if you push more than 6, I mean, you can't push any further.
It's like designing for a pocket door in a building. Okay.
So the only thing you could do is push back, but then you'd have to buy some additional fencing.
I just want to add, sorry, because a lot of things are being put in my mouth that I did not say or insinuate. When we were talking on Wednesday, my 3 amendments were dead on arrival. It was going to throw off the project, delay it by weeks, months, maybe a year. And magically, thanks to having very talented staff and team members, we were able to easily, not easily, but in a very short period of time, incorporate one of the amendments. What I'm hearing now is this council being forced to move ahead without the other ones, just based on unknowns. We don't know if this is going to throw off the bid. We don't know if this is going to throw off the project. We don't know if this is going to throw off EDR's planning by months. We're just going based on unknowns and uncertainties. And my concern is that we're now all of a sudden ready to go ahead and sacrifice a very large area of green space because of unknowns.
This would be an easy fix here, which could be legitimately done using the itemized cost, because you're just putting down concrete.
But Glenn, only if there's a contract.
Exactly.
Only if there's a contract. We have nothing if we don't have a contract. And with all due respect, it's not an unimportant green space, and it's a green space that I've committed to try to preserve. It's not a very large green space.
Yes. That's why I think this amendment wouldn't have the impact that you say you fear on this.
But it's the tail wagging the dog. It's...
John's trying to get in. They're having trouble with audio.
Oh.
He's trying to jump in.
John, maybe John can't, I see the little blue dot. John, can you hear us? And maybe if not, if you would like to call in. John, is that you? John, if you would like to call into my phone, perhaps we can.
Hello?
There you are. Okay, this is attorney to the town, John Mancuso. John, thanks for hanging in.
Yeah, no worries. I have listened to the entire meeting, so I've been listening astutely. If I may offer feedback on I think the discussion that Councilmember Salzman and the supervisor are having regarding the procedural components of the main contract and what I would characterize as the amendment regarding, I guess, further study of the feasibility of attempting to incorporate green space components into the fencing surrounding the parking lot. Is that a fair characterization of sort of the
Yeah, John,
request that?
I don't have the exact wording in front of me, but I believe it was direct the designer to preserve green space in that area. Thanks, Dan. The exact wording, John, is direct the designer to explore options for a fence around the police parking lot that does not require removing green space, period.
And none of that, go ahead, John.
I was going to say, in terms of the, so I'll defer to the board on crafting sort of the substantive scope of what that would entail, although I'll get to that piece in a minute. I want to just, if I can offer a suggestion, I think there's perhaps a resolution where both things may be capable of being accomplished, provided the board could agree on the language. Because I'm hearing the board is in agreement on the area by the town court regarding the proposed updated resolution that was introduced today regarding keeping the turning. Keeping the way the turning radius is working, but removing the 2 parking spaces in the trees.
Yes.
I'm understanding the board is being in agreement with that component. So if that component is agreeable to the board and the first resolved paragraph that is set forth in the resolution is to direct the supervisor to execute the contract, to award the contract to the lowest bidder, with that addition, right, with that revision to the front part of the campus. A second resolved paragraph that contains language that indicates that subsequent to the supervisor's execution of that contract, that the board would authorize the town, or I guess would direct the Commissioner of Public Works, for example, to investigate a change order in relation to what Council Member Salzman is discussing. You have now directed the supervisor to execute the main contract with the undisputed piece that the board is agreeable to, but you are also recognizing the direction to staff to investigate the piece regarding the fencing. Does that solve the procedural issue that the board is discussing?
Yes, John. And this is why you're our town attorney, John. So that and supervisor, tell me if this solves your problem as well. That we are authorizing the contract.
Yes.
And then immediately we're directing the supervisor and staff to explore options for a fence around a police parking lot that does not require the removal of green space.
Absolutely.
Yes, yeah.
So that's in the resolution.
So I would like to make my amendment then, and John, tell me if I'm doing this right, to be included within the resolution on the second paragraph. So the first paragraph, I'm sorry, go ahead, John.
I was going to say, I think there's the first paragraph, I believe, is the correspondence. I think the second paragraph, it's not in front of you, but the second paragraph is the resolution to authorize the execution of the contract and award the lowest bid with the additional language regarding the southeast corner supervisor?
Yes, that's correct.
So that's the second resolved paragraph would stay as is. I would propose a third resolved paragraph that would say, that be it further resolved, that subsequent to the supervisor's execution of the contract, that the Commissioner of Public Works be directed to, and then adds Council Member Salzman's language as a third resolved paragraph.
Yes. Be directed to diligently pursue a change order
that would explore options for a fence around the police parking lot that does not require removing green space.
I don't want to say that does not we will
That preserves.
pursue, that we will diligently pursue a plan for fencing around the police vehicle lot.
So-
That retains as
green
much
space as
green
feasible.
space as reasonably possible.
Sure, because is your thought that if you put the concrete in there, that could be counter to this? Is that what you're thinking?
I guess what I just want to make sure, if we get 95%.
Right.
And we have to use these concrete plugs.
Right, okay, yeah, that's where.
I want to make sure we've got enough flexibility.
And just helping us remember, too, that the sliding gate does require the hardscape to function, correct?
I believe it does.
The sliding gate requires solid posts and a solid foundation in which the gate operator sits on. The gate operators could be mounted to posts in the ground, or it could be mounted to a pad.
Okay, so all right, so.
But then the rest of that area can be the green
Right,
space,
and
yeah, sure.
So wording it so that it
So,
preserves as much green space as
To be directed to diligently pursue a change order for the installation of fencing around the police vehicle lot that maintains as much green space as reasonably possible, consistent with the safe and effective operation of the gate and fence.
Yes, so moved.
Second.
Okay. And to the extent that we didn't get that, we will obviously, I think we know.
the spirit of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So again, just to be clear, what that means is the supervisor is authorized to execute the contract. It is subject to the change order in the southeast area, and as a separate resolved paragraph, it is subject to these diligent efforts to.
Sure, preserve the green space, yeah.
Good, okay. Any further discussion?
Now, now I'm lost. So
There'll be
there was the amendment that was moved at a move and second.
Yes. Well, we now have an amendment that's been moved and seconded. And it would add a be it further resolved paragraph.
Yes, correct.
And we'll vote on that amendment.
And the approval of the bid at the same time.
No, we have to vote on the amendment.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
It doesn't happen unless we
Got it.
So we would vote on that as an addition to this amendment, to the main motion.
Mm-hmm.
And then we would vote on the main motion as amended.
Perfect.
So unless there's any further discussion on that point, I will ask Dan to call the roll on Councilmember Salzman's motion, which I believe you seconded, that would, following execution of the contract, direct the Commissioner of Public Works to diligently pursue a plan for fencing the police parking lot that maintains as much green space as is reasonably possible, consistent with the effective and safe operation of the fence and gate.
Perfect.
Okay. Dan, please call the roll on that amendment.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado?
Aye.
Councilmember Salzman?
Aye.
Councilmember Sanguinetti?
Nay.
Supervisor Malin?
Aye. And now we'll have a vote. Is there any comment before we vote on the main motion? Hearing none, we will vote on the main motion with the amendment that we just approved. Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado?
Aye.
Councilmember Salzman?
Aye.
Councilmember Sanguinetti?
Nay.
Supervisor Malin?
Aye. Thank you, everybody. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
I move that we adjourn.
Second.
Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado?
Aye.
Councilmember Salzman?
Aye.
Councilmember Sanguinetti?
Aye.
Supervisor Master?
Aye. The next meeting of the town board, again, will be Thursday, May 28th, because of Eid on the 27th. I want to thank everybody that came in tonight to speak, and I want to thank my colleagues that worked together to pull this amended motion together. Thank you.